Vice President Shaw
Here.
and President Young. And-
Here.
And thank you. And before we
We need to
begin.
qualify Chris. Great. Why don't we
turning it
do
over to
that?
Assistant General Counsel.
Good evening. It is. Good evening, Board of Directors and members of the public. Director Peebles has requested to participate in the meeting by teleconference. In order to make a determination as to whether or not he can participate, he must answer the following questions. Director Peebles, will you please confirm that the agenda has been posted at your location for at least 72 hours?
Actually,
I'm sorry.
24 hours.
I think it's 24 and yes,
Is the door to your meeting location open and accessible to the public?
yes.
Is your meeting location accessible to persons with disabilities?
I came here in a wheelchair.
Thank you. And are you on a speakerphone?
Yep.
Thank you. Director Peebles has met the requirements of the Brown Act regarding teleconference meetings in order to participate in the meeting. All votes must be taken by roll call. Thank you.
Okay, obviously we have a lot of public comment, but do we have any public comment for items not on the agenda?
Yes, we have one speaker, Latrina Meredith. And while she's coming to the lectern, this is for items not on the agenda. If you're here to speak on the realign item, we'll be taking that later in the meeting. Okay, thank you. The floor is yours.
Good evening. I'm Latrina Meredith, President of Local 192. I just want to bring to the board attention that I've been working with Michael Hurst, the General Manager, and Leonard Bello in trying to help with making runs better, making schedules better. And my problem is every time we think we got to a place where we can do something, AJ and Robert Derizaro always go back into the computer and changes the things that we already had put down that we can do, like these 5 lines we was trying to do. Then he come back to the table and change it all. So I don't know how we supposed to move forward if we keep getting pushed back. We have operators out here not being able to go to the restroom, not being able to have a break, speeding down the street, trying to make a schedule is unsafe. Won't bring out water, won't drink water because they don't have time to use the restroom. And the way things looking lately is like your scheduling department is trying to make sure that you guys don't keep operators here because that's what's going on. The younger generation is coming here, but they also getting hurt. They're getting hurt because of the time and how they are in the seat. Thank you.
Okay, and it looks like we have another speaker, Keith Brown. Is Keith Brown?
And
with us?
Keith, this is for items not on the agenda. If you're talking about the scheduling issues, we're about to get to that in a second.
Okay, I'm gonna
Okay.
correct that. Thank you. Okay, it does not look like we have any other speakers for items not on the agenda.
Okay. Why don't we talk about the consent calendar first? Is there any public comment for items on consent?
President Young, we have none.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? the
Move
consent?
approval.
Is there a second? Okay, please, Yelena, please call the roll.
Okay, I'm gonna go and call it. Director Peoples? Director Peoples, your vote?
Yes,
Thank you. Director Beckles?
Yeah.
Director Walsh?
Yes.
Director Syed?
Yes.
Vice President Shaw?
Yes.
And President Young?
Okay, let's move on to the workshop, the highlight of the evening, 5A, receive feedback during the current realign engagement window for the draft plan and make any necessary revisions ahead of a planned setting of a public hearing in August of 2024. Michael Eshelman, it sounds like you'll be doing the honors of the presentation. So Michael's going to do the presentation, then we're going to take all of the public comment after Michael is done for the presentation.
You.
And it looks like Keith, you're up first when the public comment comes around. Take it away, Mike.
Thank you very much. 1 second while I buy just a moment of time to get this full screen. Got smaller. Oh,
You're
that's
good.
good. Okay. All right. Good evening. I'm Michael. Let me see if I can raise this up. Good evening. I'm Michael Eshelman, AC Transit Service Planning Manager, and I'm joined tonight by my colleague Diane Castleberry, External Affairs Representative and Realign Deputy Project Manager. Tonight, we'll provide an update on the Realign project, the district's comprehensive effort to review and update the entire bus network in a constrained environment. As a result of staff's outreach and communications efforts to share the plan with the public, there are many comments on this iteration of the plan, and we hope to take all of the feedback before we enter into the next phase. In addition, we'll work with our partners in ATU to make sure that we have a viable proposal for our riders and bus operators, and we'll meet with them to receive and incorporate their comments before moving forward. Our agenda is to walk you through a review of the project's scope and schedule, activities since our last meeting in March, present the Realign draft plan along with a report on service reliability, followed by a summary of engagement activities and next steps. What we know today is that since the pandemic, the way people travel has changed. Our ridership is yet to return to pre-pandemic levels. We're at 74% of our 2019 ridership levels, which is higher than many of our transit partners. Also, more people are working remote fully or in a hybrid model, a couple of days in the office and the rest of the week remote. Although a recent study shows a trend of remote work decreasing by as much as 25%. Our ridership recovery is challenged by our resource constraints, which are sustainable funding and labor availability. We're faced with the challenge of recruiting and retaining bus operators, which is not unique to AC Transit. This is a national trend. The drop in ridership and demand for goods and services directly correlates to a loss of fare box revenues and tax revenues that help fund operations at AC Transit. However, I want to be clear that Realign is a resource-neutral plan, and as with most comprehensive operational analyses, there will be trade-offs with the proposed recommendations. Overall, staff is not proposing a service reduction and is ready to increase service as resources allow. We're grateful for the federal aid received during the pandemic. We've stretched federal aid dollars received a couple of years ago, and we continue to tighten our belt fiscally, along with pursuing other opportunities to manage our forecast budget shortfall. This projected fiscal cliff is the reality that we and many other transit agencies are having to navigate today and in the immediate future. This chart assumes that we'll continue to operate at 85% of 2019 service levels. In fiscal year 2026, you can see the first budget impact where we expect to see an $11 million shortfall that continues to grow to an expected budget shortfall of $116 million by fiscal year 2029. We're working vigorously to explore and pursue funding to substantially sustain our bus service operations through collective regional efforts as well as independently. The range of funding sources would require things like increases in fare revenues, regional, state, and/or local subsidies, or be forced to make service cuts starting as soon as fiscal year 2026, 2027. Despite the hiring challenges of intense competition for talent, the high cost of living and the complexity of affordable housing leading to super commutes in the Bay Area, AC Transit continues to make advances in recruitment and hiring. Total hiring increased 22% from 171 hires in 2022 to 209 hires in 2023. In calendar year 2023, we averaged 5.4 net hires per month. In current calendar year 2024 through April 2024, there are 32 total net hires, averaging 8 net hires per month. We still have a substantial hill to climb when it comes to hiring and recruiting frontline employees, largely because of our region's competitive job market means the district is facing increasingly attractive and higher compensation packages to attract and retain talent. As we approach a fiscal cliff, offering higher compensation packages might require reallocating funds from other areas, including bus line operations. And now we'll talk a little bit about the schedule itself. We started the project in spring of 2023 last year and have gone through multiple phases. We're now in phase 4, which has 2 parts. The first part is a review of the draft plan and seeking community input. This review and feedback will help us develop a final plan that we plan to present in August, kicking off the final public comment period on the realigned planning process to help us develop new service in 2025. So let's do a quick recap of what's happened between January 2024 and now. In January, staff brought forward a plan that was primarily based on what in the fall we called balanced coverage scenario. This plan was not adopted by the board. The board directed staff to pause the process to refine the plan and initiate another round of public outreach, which included an extension of the realign process by 6 months. The board gave instructions to create an updated draft plan that boosts equity with a focus on increasing frequency in the core of our bus network where equity priority communities reside. These are individuals who are low income, seniors, people with disability, people with limited English proficiency, and are transit dependent. The project continues to work towards implementing a plan that is cost neutral and operator neutral, which means that the plan will reallocate resources within the existing set of resources to provide the best service for our community today. We approach this problem in 3 ways. First, we focus frequency improvements on major lines serving equity priority communities. Second, we identified the lines in the system that are well below our key performance indicators, known as KPIs, for on-time performance and focused reliability resources on those lines, which took fewer resources than our previous approach to reliability for the January 2024 plan. Finally, we identified some places where ridership was lower and proposed reducing frequency on those lines to free up resources for improved frequency on major lines. On reliability, we need to connect proposals with the district's key performance indicators. The proposed frequent network also presented in January was deemed unacceptable by the board, and cutting service and equity priority communities was also deemed unacceptable. So in March, the board directed staff to extend the realign process by 6 months, to refine the plan to bolster trunk service and equity priority communities, and to report on reliability elements, improving reliability and operator working conditions. Improving reliability and operating working conditions is a priority for the general manager, and will make improvements not just with realign, but with signups leading up to it, as we are doing so in August 2024. This is all part of our regular coordination with ATU. In addition, they directed us to report on timeline and the feasibility of that timeline. So let's talk a little bit about the draft plan. Let me start with a bit of background. In March, staff provided AC Transit Board with a set of recommended strategies that we would use to adjust the plan that we see, adjust the plan and come up with what we see here today. The board adopted those, and they include 3 key components. The first was broadening the frequent network, adding back some frequent lines into our proposal to serve equity priority communities. So frequent lines with 15 minutes or better service on weekdays include lines 1T, weekdays include lines 1T, 6, 10, 18, the 20, 21, 51, 52, 57, 97, and NL. And the 10, 18, 57, and NL are new to this plan. Also, improving reliability in a customer-focused, operator-supportive way, focusing extra buffer time on bus schedules where we're doing the worst on reliability. We're focusing on those lines with on-time performance that fall below 70%. And we'll also fine-tune frequency for efficiency, which includes tweaking schedules here and there. For example, a bus running every 15 to 17 minutes instead of every 15 minutes. In this draft plan, we propose to broaden the frequent network with 32% of our service area with access to 15-minute or better service. If we add a few more lines back to run every 15 minutes, we can ensure that nearly a third of residents in our service area can access high-quality 15-minute services compared to just over a fifth of the service area residents under the January 2024 plan. The changes proposed in the draft plan translates to bringing another 166,000 people within range of our frequent network, 48,000 of which are people of color and 38,000 people of which have a household income less than 200% of the poverty level. To make these investments, trade-offs are required, trimming some frequency on a few less traveled lines to 20 minutes. We've heard from communities that maintaining service coverage and investing in service reliability are their most important priorities. The board has given staff to explicit instruction to make reliability improvements as part of this initiative. And that comes at the cost of access to frequent service in some places. Data from fall 2023 show that 13 local lines are performing at under 70% of the district's on-time performance metric. The draft plan focuses on key performance indicators and targets for improvements to bus lines where changes are still needed to improve that on-time performance. On the operator front, we're aiming to improve operator break and recovery to ensure the lines operate on time and operators get their breaks. We'll share more about this when we go through the proposals in the draft plan by service area. We've learned that scheduling a line to come every 15 minutes looks great on paper. However, if there's a workforce shortage, that bus may only come every 30 minutes or so. To improve reliability, we've identified a few lines that would come less often, but would be matched with our actual operator count. We also found a few places where realistic bus run times and layovers, operator breaks and transitions will be used to guide the frequency, not the other way around. An example of this is line 46L in Oakland, which would have its frequency adjusted to match the actual time it takes to complete a round trip. This 60-minute round trip would become a 62 or 63-minute round trip using a single bus. The draft plan proposes to ensure 15-minute service on lines 1T, 6, 10, 18, 2021, 40, 51, 52, 54, 57, 72, and M, 73, 97, and NL. We're proposing to revise lines 6 and 51 to balance transfer-free service with reliability needs. We're also keeping 3 lines on the San Pablo corridor in response to feedback heard, with limited rapid service retained in favor of maintaining frequent transit access along the corridor for more individuals. We're also proposing prioritizing reliability, but with trade-offs. We're reducing service schedules on some and reinvesting those resources into schedules based on need to reflect the feedback that we've heard. Proposed changes in Western Contra Costa County improve service frequency to 30 minutes or better and improve reliability throughout most of Richmond, San Pablo, El Cerrito, and unincorporated areas like North Richmond, East Richmond Heights, El Sobrante, and Kensington. Current lines 70, 72, 72R, 74, and 76 are proposed to be adjusted. Several lines would have improved coverage and/or hours of operation, such as the 72M and 70. Line 71 would remain unchanged, while line 376 is proposed for elimination due to low ridership, and its resources would be reallocated to other parts of the network. The frequency of line 72R service would be adjusted to every 30 minutes from the current 12, allowing for the reallocation of resources to other areas of the network. Line 70 is proposed to be extended from Richmond BART along Cutting Boulevard to Del Norte BART. Together with the inclusion of 76 on Cutting Boulevard, the combined bus lines would arrive every 15 minutes. Line 72 would be shortened to end at Contra Costa College, with an extended line 76 covering the Rollingwood neighborhood in San Pablo using a new alignment. Line 74 would end at Olinda and Valley View Roads to provide faster trips to and from De Anza Senior High School in Richmond. In northern Alameda County, the cities of Alameda, Berkeley, Emeryville, and Oakland, the realigned draft plan proposes to maintain or improve frequency on key corridors, reduce the need for transfers, introduce service to new destinations, and improve overall connectivity. AC Transit would serve some new areas, including Brooklyn Basin with line 96, Alcatraz Avenue with line 29, Stanford Avenue with line 7. It would improve service in Western Alameda with line 20. And offer new service on Piedmont Avenue and the Broadway corridor with a new direct link between Alameda and Kaiser Oakland on line 19. Lines 12 and 52 would have frequency restored to pre-pandemic service levels. The proposal calls for a weekday frequency reduction on lines 14 and 62, but those lines will gain weekend frequency to better match 7-day-a-week post-pandemic travel periods demand. Another proposal would combine lines to eliminate transfers and provide frequent service along lines 6, 18, 51, and 88. These are high ridership lines. Due to low ridership, the realigned draft plan eliminates lines suspended during the pandemic, including the 46, 47, 80, 314, 339, and 356. Transforming suspensions into eliminations frees up bus and operator resources that can be reallocated to other demands within our bus network. Areas currently served by these lines would have nearby alternatives. Additionally, some segments previously served by suspended lines would have new or modified service, including the 46L serving East Oakland's 82nd Avenue and new line 27 along Ashby Avenue. Proposed changes in Central County are intended to create a balanced distribution of coverage and frequency. Central Alameda County service areas include cities of San Leandro, Hayward, and unincorporated communities, including Ashland, Castro Valley, Cherryland, Fairview, and San Lorenzo. Most lines retain existing routing to ensure key destinations continue to be served, and a few lines would be adjusted to improve coverage and provide new connections. The draft plan proposes to eliminate line 99 and partially replace route service with an extended line 10 to Union City BART along Mission Boulevard corridor, reducing the need for transfers. Service schedules are improved from every 60 to every 40 minutes on more lines in Central County, with route structures staying the same except for some minor changes, as on line 28 to serve the Boys and Girls Club in San Leandro. Line 60 remains as is proposed and is proposed to have a small reduction in service frequency from 40 minutes to 45 minutes. Additionally, line 86 is proposed to be extended further into the Hayward Business Park to cover areas previously served by line 83. Proposed changes in southern Alameda County, which includes the cities of Fremont and Newark, aim to enhance the coverage and reliability of service. Lines 212, a lot of numbers coming. So lines 212, 216, 217, 232, and 239 are proposed for adjustments. Lines 200, 210, 216, 232, 239, and 251 would have improved coverage and or hours of operation. Lines 99 and 215 would be eliminated, with line 99 is proposed for elimination and replacement with new line 299 between Union City BART and Fremont BART. As I mentioned on the last slide, line 10 would be extended to meet at Union City BART. With both lines 210 and 299 running along Fremont Boulevard, a bus would arrive every 15 minutes between Dakota and Walnut. Line 217 would be shortened to operate between Fremont BART Station, California School for the Blind, Ohlone College Fremont, and Warm Springs BART Station. Line 232 would be shortened to operate between New Park Mall in Newark and Union City BART, and a portion between Union City BART and Fremont BART would be covered by line 216. Line 239 would connect to Pacific Commons with both Fremont and BART and Warm Springs BART stations. Line 215 is proposed for elimination due to low ridership, and lines 212 and 217 are proposed as replacements. Line 200 would be extended further west into Newark, and frequency would be reduced to 30 minutes. Line 212 would no longer serve Pacific Commons, but would be extended to provide service into Santa Clara County. Proposed changes to Transbay and all-nighter service focus on supporting the current service. Transbay lines B, C, CB, H, M, NX1, NX2, NX4, NXC, S, SB, and Z were temporarily suspended in March 2020 due to historically low ridership, are proposed for elimination in 2025. Previous riders of these lines would generally have alternative service options such as other Transbay and local lines that connect to BART stations. Existing lines L and LA, W, and OX are proposed for consolidation into lines DBL and DBW respectively. These changes aim to better match service levels with current ridership and allow bus and operator resources to be reinvested in our neediest communities. To support the Richmond Parkway Transit Center's Park and Ride, which connects to line LA, the proposed consolidated line L proposes to eliminate service to San Pablo's Princeton Plaza Shopping Center. Proposed line W would eliminate line W service along Fernside and High Street in Alameda, continuing to Bay Farm to serve line OX stops. All-nighter service proposed changes would include frequency reduction on line 801 to every 60 minutes to match ridership levels and reallocate resources to lines serving San Leandro and other southern destinations. In addition, line 805 proposes to adjust its routing east of Coliseum BART to mirror alignment with line 73. Some of the more, popular proposals, most discussed proposals are the ones involving the 6, 19, and 51, which staff view as necessary in order to improve connectivity and free up precious layover space. So line 51 right now serves the University and College Avenue corridors between Berkeley Amtrak and Rockridge BART. Line 51 starts at Rockridge BART, serves College Avenue, half of College Avenue and Broadway before continuing to Alameda, serving Santa Clara and going to Fruitvale BART. Line 6 serves Telegraph and Broadway currently between downtown Berkeley and downtown Oakland. And line 19 currently connects downtown Oakland and Fruitvale BART via Buena Vista Avenue and Alameda. The proposal that's in the draft plan is to extend line 51B all the way down College and Broadway to Lake Merritt BART. So it would no longer go through the tube into Alameda and to Fruitvale BART. In its place, line 6 would be extended from downtown Oakland through Alameda to Fruitvale BART. They would run at the same frequency. Alamedans would experience a change in which route number is serving the island, and what that bus does after it leaves downtown Oakland. So it'd go up Telegraph instead of going up Broadway. We heard concerns about a connection to Kaiser in Oakland. And so one of our proposals is to extend line 19 up to Kaiser in Oakland to provide that one-seat ride. The key reason we want to do this is to eliminate what we call the Rockridge transfer. So right now, if you get off of 51A heading northbound and want to continue through Rockridge up College, you need to cross the street and figure out which of the two 51B buses is the bus you want to take. If you have a mobility or a visual impairment, that can be a challenge, and that's something that we've heard for quite some time. There are also a lot of people that make this transfer between the A and the B. And we wanted to make this easier by having it a single line that operates through the entirety of the College Avenue corridor. We also needed to free up layover space at Rockridge. Right now we have 4 buses laying over at Rockridge BART. Having the 51A and B not lay over at Rockridge BART. Having the 51A and B not lay over at Rockridge BART frees up layover space that we can use to extend line 29 along Alcatraz and have a layover space at Rockridge. And this is just a diagram of the existing location, the existing conditions at Rockridge BART on the left, where we have 4 buses laying over. 2 buses on the left are the 51As on southbound College Avenue, and 2 buses on the right are the 51Bs heading northbound. We also have line 79 laying over on College north of Miles. And there's a dotted line on the left showing what that 51A to B transfer looks like. The proposal is to have a single line 51 through stop in each direction that frees up space for line 29 to have a layover near side Miles. We're exploring options to provide service in communities with low ridership demand who need reliable and affordable transit operations. This is something we're considering operating in a flex type service. We're still working on this. It's not proposed as part of our March 2025 service plan. In the meantime, what we'll do is operate an extension of line 239 to provide service to this area and continue working on this internally to make sure we have a solid option for a flex type service in this area. The improvements to frequency or reliability in this latest draft proposal have a measurable improvement to the network. We have 45% growth in access to the 15-minute network. Nearly 9% increase in zero car households have access to this 15-minute service. There's a nearly 15% growth in access to jobs with 15-minute service. And we also mentioned those lines with improved reliability. Speaking briefly about paratransit impacts, paratransit coverage has been frozen at a 2019 era network. Unfreezing the coverage area to align with existing service would eliminate paratransit coverage from approximately 15,000 residents. The realigned draft plan is proposing to remove paratransit coverage from about 1,400 residents, reducing the impact significantly. We've done some preliminary analysis, and the total number of actual registered East Bay paratransit customers is 109 that would be affected by this change. As we staff up pre-pandemic levels, we'd like to map out how we will best utilize resources as they become available. We go back to our guiding principles for direction. And one of the key things here is we have this realigned plan that's proposed to go into effect as soon as March 2025, but that is a very constrained service plan that keeps service levels at 85%. So there's a logical question of what would it look like if you had the same amount of resources as you did in 2019. And so this is what this plan represents. It's as we get more operators in successive signups after Realign is implemented, if we have additional operators, where do those resources go? And so we have some key goals. The first is reliability. So filling all scheduled trips. That means getting enough operators to fill all of our scheduled trips. The second is investing in service schedules and layovers where it's needed. And the third is continuing our capital reliability investments, which includes street and signal design and dedicated restrooms for operators. The second is frequency. So we want to prioritize service that reestablishes our frequent service network. We found people ride the bus when it comes often, and is reliable. So those are the first two things we really wanted to focus on. And then we also want to focus on equity, which is ensuring Frequent Network improves travel in equity priority communities. So we want to provide quality minimums for lines with highest ridership in equity priority communities and along major corridors for frequency, hours of operation, and also with stringent performance standards. We also want to update our design standards for all other lines to ensure that new frequency minimums and ensure that we reach goals for network coverage, frequency, and span. We also want to establish metrics and standards to monitor and address service quality, such as bus bunching, service delivery, crowding, supporting active line management needs, in addition to ensuring that we have good on-time performance. So this is what our staff's priority for improving service would look like with the additional resources that we would have for our 2019 network. So realign is at 85%. It's not a service cut. It is where we are today and is realigning resources within the current constraint. As we hire additional operators, these are the priorities that staff recommends based on ridership and based on service to equity priority communities and based on these are lines that are reasonably close to getting to every 15 minutes, and we should put resources where people are riding the most to ensure that we get back to 100% of our pre-pandemic ridership as well, and this is the quickest way to do that. On this chart is an overview of the various tasks associated with Realign. We're here in June 2024, and we've developed a draft plan for review and feedback in May and in early June. Meanwhile, our consultant team is working on the draft service standards that will update our policy with the goal of daylighting a draft for comment this summer, as well as bring revisions, if necessary, to the board for final adoption in August. Based on the feedback we hear in public feedback window, we will make any changes in advance of the public hearing window that would begin. We will begin in August and end in September, with the hope of asking the board to bless a final plan for implementation in October for a go-live date as early as March 2025. On this schedule, you'll also find a timeline for the unconstrained vision plan, which is intended to show what type of service AC Transit would provide if additional resources were available. This plan will seek to map out a real vision for future mobility of our bus network that will help guide future investments in service and infrastructure. This long-term visioning would require additional funding, bus operators, buses, and new operating facilities to be fully implemented. The vision planning is being refined in response to feedback received in 2023 and will be released in early 2025 for review. As part of Realign, staff is also tasked with updating our policy on service standards. Benchmarks are established to ensure quality and consistency in the delivery of our bus service network. This effort includes a review of industry best practices and sets 2 levels of standards for coverage, frequency, and span, an achievable service goal and an aspirational goal. The standards will include service performance metrics based on productivity and cost effectiveness, and service quality based on on-time performance, service operated, customer satisfaction, and load factor. Staff will bring the draft service standards policy to the board as soon as July 2024. Now let's focus on staff's efforts to focus on reliability and how reliability is one of the cornerstones of this plan. So reliability is crucial to successful public transit and the customer experience, particularly in 3 ways. The quality and quantity of service. Is the network frequent enough and provide enough coverage so folks can rely on it for their daily mobility needs? 2, on-time performance. Do our buses come on time and match the published schedule? Are bus operators getting enough layover time to meet that schedule? And 3rd, availability. Are we able to operate all of the service that we promised to the customer? Are we able to make pullout? This is AC Transit's OTP by line. This chart, I believe, is also within the packet, and it's on our website in the Realign project folder. While there is variation in reliability depending on the line and where it travels, AC Transit's on-time performance has trended upward in the past decade, with the highest on-time performance in recent history. Here are the routes that have the poorest reliability as measured by on-time performance, and are the routes that staff wants to focus on improving immediately as part of Realign. Staff has worked with ATU to approve a number of these routes as early as the upcoming August service change, and will continue to work on these lines in subsequent service changes. As requested by the board, staff examined the effects of schedule improvements implemented in August 2023. For the most part, lines improved lines with improved schedules showed in September with the hope of asking, for the most part, lines improved schedules. Lines with improved schedules showed improvements in on-time performance. Lines 18 and 52 are outliers here because there's a long-term construction happening at the terminal in UC Village in Albany. This has created different and longer terminal routing for each of those routes and inconsistencies in the data when the bus is going off route. As we all know, availability of scheduled service has been a challenge for the district. While we have made significant recent strides in operator availability, there's still a gap to fill between available operators and required operators. Fortunately, the gap is narrowing and trending in positive direction thanks to aggressive recruiting efforts. This slide further demonstrates the district's operator availability trending in the right direction. We scaled back service in August 2023 to better match operator availability. The result is an improvement in service operated that we've been able to sustain since then. We're still working on improving availability as well as retention. With limited resources, it's always a challenge to improve running time and layover time. Occasionally, we have to scale back service to help us improve schedules. This is done in 2018 and again in 2023. If we can't make significant strides in transit priority improvements, this will be a continual trend and is reflected in the constant decrease in the average speed of our service. We use 3 points of information to improve schedules. First is our computer-aided dispatch CAD AVL, automatic vehicle locator system, data that gives us thousands of data points to determine if buses are meeting their schedule. We combine this with ridership to set priorities for improvements and also to set the frequency to avoid overcrowding. We also seek feedback from ATU labor partners, bus operators, and our riders. Information from these stakeholders has helped staff set priorities for what to improve and where running time and layover time needs to be improved on a route. And finally, recommendations and changes are ground truth via observations on the bus by planning and scheduling staff and sample ride checks and point checks. As a result of the schedules we built over the years, we've invested more resources in non-revenue hours such as layover, pull-in, pull-out, and deadheads, despite significantly decreasing our service level during the pandemic. We've increased non-revenue time by 5 percentage points and are working to maintain that. And now I will pass it to Diane.
Thanks, Mike. The next couple of slides speak to public engagement for Realign and the next steps. So over the past year, the Realign plan has undergone extensive development, incorporating feedback from riders, municipalities, and the community across 2 counties every step along the way. It's important to note that we are still receiving public feedback today. The current outreach period remains open through tonight, June 5th, until 11:59 p.m. Our outreach and promotional activities have included ads on and inside buses, route profile books at libraries, city council announcements, along with outreach at bus stops and community events, along with hosted events, working with our community partners and a meeting with our Lived Experience Advisory Group. During this current outreach phase, we have conducted more than 100 outreach activities on the draft plan. Additionally, we continue to use our digital communication channels, which include the project webpage, e-news, and social media. At actransit.org/realign, the public still has time to access the draft plan. The online interactive maps include a trip plan feature where you can plan a trip using the proposed network. To date, we have received a lot of comments just online. Nearly 500 comments have been received on various bus lines, and comments balanced between schedules and routes, with slightly more comments regarding concerns over reduced frequency and reliability. Because we are still in an open public comment period, we have not started the analysis on the public input. Planning will begin analysis of all feedback received starting tomorrow. They will assess whether additional adjustments can be made to respond to feedback before we come back to the board in August to set the public hearing and introduce the draft final plan. We are collecting comments via online comment forms through social media, community partner hosted events, Lived Experience Advisory Group meetings, letters from local and regional municipalities, library comment drop boxes, pop-up outreach at bus stops and onboard buses, and throughout the project email and phone lines. And just today, there were 4 outreach activities, 3 of them on bus lines and 1 with a local municipality. This slide, I'm not going to read the full comment, but is just an example of some of the comments received from our Lived Experience Advisory Group, but it is in the packet. So we are currently in the final hours of public review and comment on the draft plan, which concludes tonight, June 5th. For those of you in the meeting room and watching via Zoom, if you haven't already, please use tonight as an opportunity to ask your questions and comment on your bus lines in this proposal and let us know what you think. The more specific you can be the more helpful it is. If you wish to register your comment online, go to actransit.org/realign. The comment form will ask for your zip code and the bus lines you are commenting on. You will be able to comment on more than one bus line. Following this review and public comment period, staff will refine the plan, and then we will move to the August 7th board meeting to set the public hearing schedule and introduce the draft final plan for public review. This meeting will then open the public comment period on the draft final plan. We will hold 4 public hearings in September on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. The public hearing and comment period will then conclude on September 11th. Staff will make final refinements and will introduce the final service plan on October 9th for board decision. Following board decision, the service plan implementation team representing various departments within the AC Transit District will begin preparations to ready the service for implementation. We are working towards implementation that is scheduled for as early as March 2025. I will now turn back the presentation back to Mike Eshelman.
So the board requested in March that staff come back and report, particularly on the status of discussions with ATU, whether the Realign implementation can happen in a general versus a division signup, as well as the feasibility of phasing. We're still working on scheduling those discussions, and we look forward to having them and reporting back to the board on what we all discuss and what terms we come to. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Why don't we open it up for public comment?
Okay, we have several dozen speakers, and I just want to let the public know everyone has up to 2 minutes to make public comment. You do not have to use the full 2 minutes, but when you give your comments, if you could tell us if there's a particular line that you're commenting on, that would be helpful to us. I'd like to go to one of our online speakers first, and then we'll get to the speakers in the room. I'd like to go ahead. Let's hear from Oakland City Council President Nikki Fortunato Bass. Thank you.
Thank you. This is actually Council President Bass's Senior Policy Advisor, Maya Lin. I'm commenting on behalf of Council President Bass and wanted to lift up some of our comments she submitted to the board and through the Realign process yesterday. I'll just read a few key sections of the letter, and just first really want to appreciate the Realign staff and the board for prioritizing equity as part of the Realign process. So as the Oakland City Council President and District 2 Council member, I support the rerouting and extension of Line 96 to connect Brooklyn Basin to downtown Oakland and Chinatown, and the BART stations at East 12th Street and Lake Merritt. I also respectfully request the line run more frequently from 30 minutes to 15 to 20 minutes. With this development project in my council district, I've worked closely with the developer and community coalition partners to support a development that meets the needs of constituents and residents, especially those in the nearby Chinatown, East Lake, and Lower San Antonio neighborhoods. I will just summarize. As you know, changes in Line 96 will enable Brooklyn Basin residents, including residents of the affordable housing units on site, to access critical services and retail amenities via public transit. I've heard at least one member of the community coalition share their experience that even after winning the lottery for access to an affordable housing unit at Brooklyn Basin, they turned down residency because of the lack of bus transit access. I respectfully request that you consider running Line 96 every 15 to 20 minutes rather than the existing 30 minutes. This would help increase the use of the rerouted line, and I also will add the increase in reliability that is a goal of Line 96. I understand increasing the frequency for this bus line would require additional resources, and I would support advocacy efforts to raise transit funds through available regional, state, or federal programs, and I'll add here also private fundraising as well. So thank you again for recognizing the importance of reconfiguring this transit as well as others. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and start calling the speakers that we have in the room here. We're going to start with Keith Brown. And if you would please form a line at the podium, that way we can expedite speakers as it's their turn to speak. Bill Mitchell will be next, followed by David Lyons, Ellen Murray, and Jesse Gunn.
Good evening, staff and directors. I'm Keith Brown, Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Alameda Labor Council. And I just want to start out by saying that bus schedules must prioritize timely service and sufficient breaks for workers to ensure safety and reliability. The current timetables lead to overworked employees and jeopardize public safety, with drivers often missing necessary breaks, risking injury and burnouts. This strain has also caused some friction between staff and passengers, although many riders recognize that the true issue lies within management's impractical scheduling. As part of the Realign initiative initial phase, it is crucial to integrate additional buffer times for the routes specified in the December 2023 presentation. Labor will be monitoring these changes closely with elections, board of AC Transit elections approaching in November. Failure to address these concerns will have repercussions for those in decision-making positions. And again, we're here as labor to say we stand for better schedules for bus drivers, and it means better transit for riders. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mitchell?
I'm going to pass. I'm awfully happy
Oh.
to see such a turnout.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm Dave Lyons. I'm a 34-year operator at AC Transit, retired for 10. I lived to survive it. So I want to put this in perspective. Last week, Elon Musk proposed a $51 billion compensation package just for himself. Silicon Valley venture capitalists have funds to build a whole new city of 400,000 people in Sonoma County. And genocide Joe Biden has budgeted $14.3 billion for more weapons for the murderous regime in Israel. And yet, all we want to talk about is a cost-neutral budget, to rob Peter to pay Paul, to cut service on certain lines, eliminate others, and while giving lip service to better schedules, running time and layover time for operators. The routes with the lowest reliability are largely the trunk lines in Oakland and Richmond that serve the low-income Black and Latin communities. The operators who work those lines also come from these same working class communities and generally have low seniority and less experience. Half or more must spend hours driving to and from work due to the high cost of housing west of the hills. It's not a surprise that young, lower-paid operators get burned out and leave. As an example, the 72 and 72M are already among the least reliable, and now management proposes an 18-minute increase in the headway of the popular 72R. This is not a solution to our problems. Like, I propose that management and the board do more to get the revenue from those that have it, and that the working class not rely on capitalism to solve our problem.
Next speaker? I'll take the next speaker.
My name is Ellen Murray. I've been living in Oakland since 1980, and I'm a retired driver from San Francisco Muni. On a personal note, my children used to ride the bus on 38th. It's not there anymore. And my niece now rides down from Thornhill School where she works to 38th and waits up to 40 minutes or an hour for the 14 because this bus is missing. That's the personal side. I want to make a couple of general comments. Nightmare schedules. We all endured them and they're getting worse. At San Francisco Muni, there was a very important study done in the 80s and 90s about the impact of schedules and stress working conditions on drivers and why there's such a high rate of hypertension. You can look it up. It was done by Bev Davenport out of San Francisco General. As a board, you should be taking action on that because schedules kill drivers and make them die young. So that health and stress study is very important. Secondly, underserved communities. We heard lots about data. You've got the data. We heard lots about equity. There is not equity in these schedules. People can document that in much more detail. But basically, schedules serve the needs of corporate capital to bring people in and out of downtown areas for work or for consumer or for tourists. It's all about the money. The schedule was never set up to meet the needs of the people. And we should have a realignment about schedules for the needs of the riders and the drivers.
Okay, as Mr. Gunn approaches the lectern, I'd like to also ask Lupi Miller, Moises Frias, Linda Mohammed, and David Deleu to form a line at the lectern. Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much. My name is Jesse Gunn. I am a public school teacher, a frequent transit rider, and a candidate for Ward 6 for AC Transit. And I'm going to bring a little bit of my experience as a math teacher here. And I understand that when you are trying to make these changes and improve the services in a cost-neutral setting, that cost has to come from somewhere. And up until now, that cost has come on the backs of your workers, your strongest assets, and the ones that carried us through the pandemic on the front lines. And so what I am advocating for is that we look to the future beyond a cost-neutral approach, that we advocate with our legislatures and say we need more funding to get our community the service that we need, and that this feels like a very familiar thing as a teacher. We cannot continually rely on the backs of our hardest working people in order to make ends meet and in order to keep things as they are. I also would argue that improving the reliability with better schedules is how we grow our ridership in the first place. A bus route that is frequently 8 minutes late is not attractive to anybody, and neither is the one that has to speed 10 miles an hour over the speed limit unsafely to get us where we need to go. I see the rest of my time. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, board. Good afternoon, everybody. On occasions, AC Transit makes changes and modifications and to realignment to bus lines and schedules in hopes that they have looked and checked every box as far as meeting the needs of the communities we serve. But this new realignment plan is incomplete and full of red flags. It must not be ignored. Among the factors that may justify a transportation plan or projects are keyword improvements. Improvements in traffic flow and safety, improvements in travel time, improvements in accessibility and reliability, etc. But where's the improvements in our schedules? In this case, the realignment plan the district is eager to roll out does not provide the appropriate, unbiased information to those who will be affected, i.e. the union, the operators, and the passengers. The objectives and the measures of effectiveness that this plan show is inadequate. and non-realistic and cannot be reached safely. We are asking that the district include the union in all aspects of any plans, changes, and realignment, so we are not putting operators, passengers, and the public at risk or change or danger, and fix our schedules. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Moises Frias. I'm a bus operator at D2 and Drivers Committee, Safety Committee. I want to start with back in March, we were working on summer sign up and we saw everything, adequately, good schedules, whatnot, can't perfect everything correct. But then we found out that AJ, the manager scheduling, had some tweaks on the schedules to try to accommodate meal breaks, but what he accommodated was to abandon the buses, which violated the guidelines and rules according to your OUG guide. We brought it to his attention and he went ahead and changed it for D2, but he did not change it for the other 3 divisions, D4, 3, and 6. And that delayed the summer sign up. And when we were looking at the headways, it's very stressful when we're looking at the times, recovery times, 6 minutes on the 6th line at the end of the line, 51B also same, frequency 10 minutes. And it's very highly stressful. I get a lot of calls from operators, concerned, why the schedule's so tight. I tell them, do your best, be safe from A to B. That's where you should go by, and they are excessively stressed out. And I do my best to try to help them out, but it would really help if we had the adequate runtime, recovery time. Happy operator will create better customer service for everyone that comes in. And that's the main goal. I'm here to serve the public. I know what I got myself into, and I smile all day. Hi, thank you. You're welcome. Come in. I answer all your questions you need. The AC Transit puts out bulletins, puts more guidelines. The OUG book goes from here to here, 1 inch to 2 inches. So I accommodate and keep a smile.
Hello, I'm Linda Muhammad and I'm a driver out of D4. And my topic is the 51A. It's already been shown that you guys are trying to get rid of it. The way that it is now, it is a stressful run. The 15-minute layover is not 15 minutes. We get there maybe 6 or 7 minutes after, and then we have to secure the bus, answer questions, run to the bathroom, come back, load up, and when we load up, we're usually pulling out late because there's a lot of people getting on our bus. We don't have enough drivers to be the leader or the follower. I'm finding myself doing it all for 3 or 4 runs. And so my bus is packed wall to wall due to staffing. There's not enough bus drivers, and I think they're getting burned out. I know myself, I'm getting burned out. I have over 20 years of experience, and I thought coming to AC Transit and their schedules would be one of the pinnacles of my so-called career, but I'm finding quite opposite of that. These schedules are not by any means healthy for the public or the drivers. And blood pressures and sugars and everything have something to do with that. So please consider the humanity of these schedules versus the cuts of the budgets, because we let the people ride for free anyway. And we also showed during the pandemic that the people didn't have to pay and we still got paid to come to work. So what is going on here? You guys are not contacting with us. You're not communicating with us. And that's just the bottom line. Fix it or leave it alone.
Okay, as our next speaker approaches the podium, we're still looking for Michael Miller, followed by Gigi Gamble, Nathaniel Arnold, and Latrina Meredith. Please go ahead.
Hello, board. Hello, everyone. My name's David DeLeo. I'm a retired Oakland teacher. I live in Berkeley. I take the 12 and the 18 a lot. And what I want to say is the schedules thing doesn't work for the riders either. When you make the schedules too crowded for the drivers, the result is they're late a bunch. They're having to make up time when they can. So when I go down to a block and a half to try to get to the 12, it comes early because those blocks between downtown Berkeley and Ashby are fast blocks, and they're trying to make up time so they can be okay when they get down to the slow parts. And that's what happens. And it doesn't work for me. It makes it really hard to know when I should be there for the bus. I look up the AC Transit trip planner. I say, okay, it's supposed to be here at this time. And when it's 7 minutes late on the 18, it's not just that it's 7 minutes late. It's that unless I go looking for exactly when it's going to show up, if it's 7 minutes late, sometimes that means I'm too late down where I should have been. And I go, oh, I should have been on the bus before that, but I didn't know it. And if this same problem is also making it burning out your drivers so that one of the reasons you're having trouble keeping drivers, then it seems like a no-brainer that you have to make the schedules match what it actually takes for people to drive them.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Miller. I'm a D2 operator from D6, so I've driven pretty much everywhere. Let me just say this real quick. All the speakers that have come up here, you can see passion and urgency in their voice, okay? I've heard 3 key words that was brought up, okay? On-time performance, reliability, and frequency. They don't give you passion. They don't give you urgency. All that is just data, numbers, okay? These drivers are your focal point, okay, for information. You're not utilizing that, okay? Number one, the mission statement here for AC Transit is we deliver safe, reliable, sustainable transit service that responds to the need of our customers and communities. Are we going to do that with this realignment? I think not. How reliable can we be extending existing routes that already find themselves running late? 651B, for sure. I run it all the day. If I'm lucky, I may get 6 minutes, if I'm lucky, okay? This extension will not only be unreliable, but create more anxiety for the operator, which in the end means it's unsafe, okay? We are basing all these run changes on being successful in on-time performance and reliability based on what? Based on your keywords that you keep throwing at us. On-time performance, reliability, and frequency. It's a no-brainer. You got all your information right here. Several years. If you put all these people together, you won't even be able to count as many years as you need. Okay? Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Gigi Gamble. I'm a rank and file member of ATU 1555. And a group of us are here today just to support our brothers and sisters in Local 192. I'm also a lifelong AC Transit rider. I'm a station agent at BART. And I just want to say this, algorithms are not as good as people for observing what kind of service is going on the buses. You need people, you need their butts in the seats without clipboards or uniforms, anything to indicate their status. Just be on the bus and ride it and see what your drivers are going through. Look at the actual time it takes to drive between stops. I heard from a local 192 sister that there was 3 minutes given to get from Ashby to Gilman. on San Pablo Avenue. That's crazy. Also, I was listening to that very detailed report. Whenever the plan says staff, I wondered, who did they mean? Do you mean seasoned drivers? Or do you mean people looking at algorithms? You have data from human beings that supplements the algorithms and that data. The people come first, the riders and the drivers. Their information is really valuable, and oh God, please don't mess up the 51 line. I take it. I know it got cut in half. When it got cut in half, my heart broke. It never healed. Please don't change it. Just do what the drivers tell you to do. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Nathaniel Arnold. I'm the vice president of local ATU 192. I come before you to let you know that the board gave an edict for the district to work with the union in this process. During my little time that I've been here, I've witnessed several things where people have actually lied and not been reprimanded for that. I go back to about 2 weeks ago, where Robert Del Rosario told my president and I that we had agreed.
Yeah, oh, yes.
We had agreed to the O and the NL being interlined, and we didn't. And he flat out said in front of all of management, we were there at the table, I said, oh no, this is what you agreed to. And she was like, no, I didn't agree to it. And she was talking to herself. She pulled out a paper that we had from the meeting previously. Well, lo and behold, when she pulled out the paper, that wasn't on there. That was something that he did. He flat out lied, and he was not reprimanded. I would like to credit Sal Yamas at the time for being there at the board meeting, because he got it fixed immediately. But this is the second time that he's done that without any consequence. As an operator, if we get caught lying, it's part of the big 5, dishonesty. We will be terminated. There's no consequences. How can you expect to build trust when these things keep happening and we're supposed to overlook that? There is a solution to this problem. If you put the director of transportation over planning and scheduling, whenever we have a problem, we would have the authority to fix the problem in real time. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Latrina Meredith again, Local 192 President. I just want to say a couple of things. The planning department has not yet met with ATU 192 about any of these proposals. Number 2, what you don't see is running time. And that means how long does it take to get one end to another? That's what they're not going to tell you, because they want you to believe it's on-time performance. What you don't see is where they taking the extra time from to claim they making another schedule that's going to meet the needs of the operator. Because they take from one schedule to another schedule to make you believe they fixed a schedule.
Right. Another lie.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say is people, not the last, people who don't drive a bus or ride a bus always want to make changes that don't work or don't make sense. And one more thing before I go, which I have already brought up to AC Transit Management. It was brought to our attention, which Dwayne Crawley was present, where management stated to Dwayne Crawley, that's in planning, that she was very upset and tired of AJ disrespecting operators. talking about us real bad. And the last statement she made before Dwayne told her not to say nothing else, because I was standing there, is that all you gotta do is to make sure all the buses go by Kentucky Fried Chicken and the bus operator be happy. I knew he did not like operators, but I did not know it was the color of my skin he had a problem with.
Okay, let's move on. Our next speaker is going to be Warren Cushman. And Warren, if you like, we can give you a handheld mic. Would you like that? Okay, Tanisha, can you please give him a microphone, please? And then Warren, we will give you a 30-second timer when your time is almost up.
Appreciate that. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, members of the board. My name is Warren Cushman, Community Resources for Independent Living. I sit here today as a disabled writer in 100% support of ATU 192. You cannot, as a board, move forward without the blessing of 192. It is destructive. It pits drivers and passengers against each other, but more importantly, it breaks the system. Do not move Realign forward without the blessing of 192. You will have elective consequences. It's just bottom line. Second of all, I also support people with disabilities. Do no harm. Do not change lines like the 51 without the support of people with disabilities. That is also destructive, and it can't go forward. So in closing, I'll just say, make responsible policy, work with your riders, work with your drivers. And if this isn't baked and it doesn't have the support of the community, don't move forward, and definitely don't move forward with the March 2025 sign up without the blessing of 192. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next group of speakers is going to start with Joe Genolio from the Office of Mayor Tao, followed by James Jackson, Jack Watkins, and Laurel Paget-Seekins. And then we'll move on to some of our online speakers.
Good evening. I'm Joe with Mayor Tao's office. I'm here to speak to some of the comments made by the mayor in a letter to you all today. The mayor understands that you have difficult choices to make with current budget projections, and the Realign staff have been doing a great job, but we believe that the services offered to Oakland's equity priority communities and the support given to your operators can still improve. Here in Oakland, much of our community never stopped riding the bus, even during the pandemic. The equity priority communities who relied on AC Transit then and continue to rely on your service now should not be targeted for service reductions. As such, we encourage you to modify the Realign plan to limit the proposed service reductions to the 14, 73, 45, and other routes that have seen a significant return of riders and serve the East Oakland communities for whom these lines are invaluable. Secondly, the mayor urges you to continue your efforts to hire operators up to the budgeted level for the sake of your operators who are increasingly burdened, and add commensurate service back. The mayor also supports you developing a standard and threshold for when routes need additional run and recovery time. Run and recovery time that is reported to the board on a quarterly basis for adjustments. We also thank you for extending the 96 to Brooklyn Basin and ask that that frequency be increased. Oakland is a pro-transit city, and we look forward to continuing to work with each of you to advance our shared goal of an accessible, safe, and reliable transportation network for riders and your operators. Thank you.
Good evening, James Jackson, ATU 192, Transportation Business Agent. I'm probably not gonna say much that hasn't already been said. The factor that's being left out is the operator, the face of your company, the first person they see, and the one doing all the work. It seems like the AC Transit service is being leveraged on their back for a realignment that really is a COVID hybrid plan. For years, we've been hearing about the 85% of service, the reduction, or where it's at now, losing 15% of the runs and whatnot. These schedules are unconducive to having productive employees, and then we come back and complain about the level of service that we're giving to the general public. If you're not happy when you come to work, satisfied with your employer, you don't do a good job. But all we've talked about today, excuse me, is reliability, cost effectiveness, changing the runs and the routes. And every time a line came up that these people drive, you heard the groans, the murmurs, the words under their breath that are dissatisfying with the fact that they're being left out of this whole equation. You hear all this information being compiled. We've had numerous meetings with the district and asked for simple numbers that we can't seem to get. But when you come here, you have all these numbers piled up against what the operators know not to be true. I would implore the board to take a closer look and listen to ATU, because we always talk about being a partner, but it seems like we're being dictated to, and we're going through the motions of sitting in a meeting to hear something and have our opinions heard, and then come back to see at a meeting that nothing that we've said or nothing that we've had an issue with has been addressed. It's a bad way to move forward with business, and a struggling business at best right now, and that's across the board in transportation. Thank you.
Hey there, my name is Jack Watkins. I am a bus driver at D4. I've been driving for 4.5 years. I want to say a few things as quick as I can. I came here in December and talked to you all. I hope you remember, specifically around the stress that the bus drivers are facing. I have operators coming to me crying about not being able to get breaks, literally in tears about not being able to get breaks, not being able to drink water, eat lunch, and it spills over into their home life, their family life. Some people have to drive an hour, hour and a half to and from work, and still maintain a family, and that is impossible under the conditions that AC Transit provides us. I wanted to talk about the realigned plan does not include any accommodations for the driver's conditions, for the stress that we face every day. And that is ultimately going to lead to the burnout and destruction of the service itself. There is no service without the bus drivers. AC Transit cannot exist without the bus driver. Our physical and mental health is constantly under attack by trying to sustain impossible drive times. We do not have adequate drive times or recovery times, and drivers are unable to drive safely, unable to live safely while trying to maintain these impossible schedules. Is very evident in the proposal itself that the drivers were not a priority, and our conditions are not a priority in achieving these reliability and frequency guidelines. There is no reliability and no frequency without drivers. It doesn't exist. And I think about how during the COVID period, we were considered essential, but we are neglected in this plan completely. And that is unacceptable. And thank you.
After the next speaker, we're going to move on to the online comments. Meryl, Jason, and Anthony will be called next after Laurel. Go ahead.
Good evening, Laurel Padgett-Seekins from Public Advocates. I'm here in support of the bus operators from ATU 192, but I also wanted to speak about the equity priority in the plan, because I don't see any data in this presentation that actually shows this proposal provides better service for communities that have been and are currently disinvested in and that are most reliant on public transit. There is an increase in access to 15-minute service frequency, but it's not entirely clear where it is and who is benefiting from it. It also isn't clear what is being proposed for paratransit access, and I really hope, as we heard, that there are paratransit users who are in the service area from 2019, that remains the same and that we don't strand people in their homes without access to transit. Finally, I want to say something about data. I think what we're hearing loud and clear is the feedback from operators and riders are data. They are data points. They should have the same weight and value as the data that comes out of the automated systems, and that your automated system data requires the data from the operators and riders to have context. Your automated system, AVL, can tell you how long it took to get from A to B, but it doesn't tell you what the driver had to do to make that time. It doesn't tell you, did they had to go into an intersection on an orange light? Did they leave a stop before passengers were seated? Did they not use a bathroom in order to start on time? There's so much other data that is required to understand the automated system data, and there needs to be a standard process for gathering the operator data on runtime so they can analyze with the automated data in order to truly understand what needs to happen to fix the run times and reliability in the schedules. Thank you.
Meryl?
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
I wanted to thank AC Transit for really trying to right-size the 52 bus according to Cal's semester. We are seeing smaller buses running now because it's summer, and very grateful to see more zero emission buses, smaller buses on the weekend. Large diesel buses have no place in a clean corridor in a community of single-story houses. So my question about the realign is, where is the data that shows we have to have buses starting at 6 a.m. to go to UC Berkeley and running until the weekend, running till midnight on the weekends, and then 5 a.m. during the week? And running to midnight on the weekdays. I'd like to see that data because that is really going to change things for neighbors. And really, it's important to talk to neighbors. I've been talking to neighbors, so I hope you are too. Perhaps we can just get a little small shuttle running down Cedar, like in the old days. So that's what I'm thinking about. And I'm really hearing what the bus drivers are saying. I will reveal this. My father drove a taxi cab all his life, and he had emphysema from the diesel and from, and gained weight and all of that because of the stress. And I really think you need to consider that. There's no reason why the 52 large accordion diesel bus needs to go every 15 minutes down Cedar, because 90% of the time the bus is empty. Now that might be different on other parts of the route on University Avenue. I just want to finish. So I'm going to stop. If it could be right-sized so that maybe there's
Meryl,
I'm
the
just
2 minutes
saying,
are up.
there's two.
Thank you. We're moving on to Jason, followed by Anthony, and then Jam Wang. Jason, go ahead, please.
Yes, I would like you guys to reconsider the about 60 from 45 minutes to every 30 minutes, and also bring back the 94 would be nice instead of how it is now. That's all.
Next speaker is Anthony.
Hello, my name is Anthony. I am an AC Transit rider from Berkeley, and I am calling in full support of what the operators are asking for here. The data that AC Transit has shown us in the second draft of the process is better than in the first, but it shows that bus lines have been allowed to get 20 minutes or more, the difference between their scheduled time and their real run time. Even the 51B northbound, that gets up to 30 minutes during peak periods off of its schedule. And I think it's unacceptable that those changes haven't been made immediately to give those routes more runtime. If I were supervising somebody and they didn't get their break, I would very much, the next day make a change, because that's the law and that's the right way to treat people. I think that the board needs to hear at least quarterly on how route runtime is performing and what adjustments are being made, and what ways, if there's a hotspot for delay or a suggestion that management has to be able to speed up a bus route, or if bus operators have made comments on what some problems they have are, those suggestions need to come up to the board at least every 3 months so that these bus routes can be improved in an iterative fashion and we don't go another I don't know, how long has it been? 4 or 5 or 6 years since we did a check. Hey, are people getting their breaks? That is absolutely essential. You know, there's in Muni, if you're operating a bus in San Francisco, you're just driving the bus. You've got a bus lane, that's great. What you don't have to do is act as the fare police, subject to people assaulting you because they don't have money to pay to get on the bus. I think that the fact that we ask people to play those dual roles and we pay them less than Muni is something we should really look at and consider all door boarding to speed up these routes and improve working conditions. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Jam Huang. Go ahead.
And after that speaker, we're going to hear from Emily Wheeler, Noor Rizri, Naomi Heiser, Chi, and Josette Moss.
Okay, Jam, you would just need to unmute so that we can hear you. There you go.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jam Wong. I'm a bus driver out of Emerald Division. Been with AC Transit for over 10 years. Thanks for this opportunity to bring my opinion to the board of directors. My opinion is, for its public safety, you know, the AC Transit requires us, the bus drivers, to attend classes, training center, like de-escalation class, human sex trafficking class, and then the TSA, the TA security class, like see something, say something, lessons, such lessons. So I think district labor and public. I say this opinion because if the board of the classes, we do not have to spend money and time for those classes if you want to focus on on-time performance. Now, again, if you like to focus on on-time performance, where's humanity? There's elderly people, there's disabled people. Everybody are not dependent on the data. There will be more assault and battery on the buses. Is danger to the public and bus drivers. Thank you for your time.
Okay, please come up.
My name is Naomi Heiser. I'm out of Division 4. I'm a new bus operator. It saddens me to have to be here today and not at work performing my regular duties. I'm currently on disability and have been out since May 28th, unable to meet the demands of my current title as a bus operator. I've been with AC Transit since June 20th, 2023, and since becoming certified, I've caught COVID-19, been assaulted, and contracted an infection from not enough recovery time to use sanitary safe facilities at the end of the line. I've had passenger falls. Operators operate in the Arctic. We can't open the doors we can't lower the bus first before opening the doors. So we have passengers hurry up and load, thus passenger falls. I've had accidents. Because schedules are planned out the way that they are, it puts me and my coworkers in unsafe driving conditions. These schedules are not realistically planned for actual picking up passengers, potentially having to use wheelchair ramps to prevent passenger falls for riders with disabilities or the elderly with carts and women with strollers, let alone taking time to wait until they are seated or have cleared the stairs for the rear of the bus. Because so many people depend on this form of transportation and unforeseen circumstances are not included in addition to proper boarding time into the schedules, me and my coworkers are also put in situations where we have confrontations with the public regarding why we are so late when we are scheduled to be at a particular stop, sometimes 20 to 30 minutes prior.
Because of these unrealistic schedules, the workforce becomes overworked and stressed out, creating driver fatigue and a higher probability for accidents and passenger falls. The equipment is not even designed to continuously go in a circle without recovery time. To do so can cause brake malfunction as well as overheating and a host of other mechanical problems. To continue to not have realistic schedules taking into consideration real time with real people who need the bus lowered as well as the wheelchair ramp in time to take their seat, thus creating no recovery time for the vehicle as well as the driver to mentally reset their eyes for at least 10 minutes at the end of each line in each direction is a public safety issue and there needs to be a resolution.
Hello. My name is Emily Wheeler. I'm with Public Advocates and I'm a member of the Voices for Public Transportation Coalition, and I'm here supporting ATU 192 operators. I've been riding AC Transit since I was a baby. I currently ride the 14 to get to work, but I also take the bus to get everywhere else I need to go in Oakland. I rely on the bus. Frequent, reliable service is critical for me, but I don't want to participate in a system that literally harms the health of the operators who help me get to where I need to go. AC Transit must commit to continuing to hire operators up to the budgeted number and adding scheduled service as additional operators are hired or come off long-term leave. So there are enough bus operators so that the routes can be operated safely and effectively. Despite uncertainty around future revenue measure, AC Transit needs to continue to develop the unconstrained and visionary network based on service standards that significantly improves frequency. Despite SB 1031's withdrawal, Voices for Public Transportation is working hard to get a regional funding measure passed in 2026. So you should factor that into your consideration and not bow to austerity. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello, my name is Noor. I'm a daily rider and I'm a daily rider and transit advocate. While I do appreciate that these cuts are less impactful than the ones proposed in January, they still fail to provide the region with adequate transit service. Running the 72R every 30 minutes is simply unacceptable, and I'm worried that the resulting drop in ridership will be used as justification to cut the route in the future. Cutting Oakland Airport service on the 21 will create a huge gap in the network and hurt essential workers. Cutting the 801 to every 60 minutes and completely eliminating the 376 hurt essential workers who depend on the overnight connection. Cutting Lifeline Hill routes like the 7, 65, 67, and 74 will hurt people who are completely dependent on transit. Despite being the busiest corridors in Fremont and Newark, Maury and Fremont service is being reduced. Permanent suspension of the 94 hurts mobility impaired riders, and long, horrifically shaped lines like the new 6, 18, and 88 will cause major reliability issues and safety issues with drivers not getting proper brake time. In short, these changes will make transit hard to use and affect disadvantaged groups the most while prioritizing wealthy Trans Bay riders. I do appreciate that this plan includes cuts to unproductive Trans Bay routes, but frankly, they don't go far enough. The L and LA should be replaced by feeders to El Cerrito del Norte BART in partnership with WestCat. The OX, P, V, and W should be cut in favor of improved local service that serves all of its riders, not just wealthy SF commuters. And the E should be replaced by a full Ashby line from Emeryville to Parkwoods. Finally, the 7 change largely duplicates the F and wastes resources. The F should follow a similar route along Adeline, Stanford, and San Pablo, while the 7 should end in downtown Berkeley and maintain 30-minute headways. The labor shortage is affecting transit agencies across the nation, but instead of cutting service in response or reducing operator break time, AC Transit should be working with city governments to speed up service with bus lanes and signal priority. These service cuts are unacceptable and will hurt lower income riders, the minority, and senior riders the most. Thank you.
Okay. All right, my name is okay, so my name is Josette Moss and I'm the Financial Secretary Treasurer, ATU Local 192. And I just want to say that everybody here is not just operators. I'm so happy and pleased to see my maintenance and my clerical ATU members behind all the operators because we're one union, okay? We're ATU, we're stronger together, as you guys can see. And I just want to say, I heard his report. I hear the same things. I've been here 21 years, okay? Yes, operators, it's hard to keep them. Why? Because they either get fired, They retire, they resign, they get assaulted. The list goes on and on. But the thing about it is you don't value who's here right now. Okay? You don't value who's here. Everything is a fight, and I'm sick and tired of fighting with you guys time and time again. But when you want to be elected, guess what? The Union Hall, I constantly hearing the phone ringing. I got to tell the presidents, why do you even entertain it? Because they don't come and fight for us when it's time. Okay? I keep count. I was recording secretary, very powerful job. I listen very well. Okay? And I know what you guys say you're going to do, and you haven't done it. You're still not doing it. Okay? And it hurts me because I'm the one that sees the retirees. They come in there. Some I don't even see because they're bedridden. They can't get out of the hospital. You guys don't care. All you do is read off your phones, off your reports. I talk through my heart. That's why I'm here, because I have the voice of my membership. This is us. We're all one. And I'm not going nowhere. And as long as I'm here, guess what? You're going to keep hearing my voice. Okay? And Yvonne, who educated me, I'm going to say this. When the workforce was primarily Caucasian, they didn't go through this. But now that your workforce is the minorities, it's a problem. So let's talk about that. Okay? I'm disgusted. Everybody really disgusts me.
Hey, this is Chi, D6 operator, been here 11 years. Mike, I'm sure you're a good guy. We're not beating up on you, but after all these suggestions, you gotta use your resources. Use the public, use us as operators. You can make a great new realignment plan. Scrap the one you have, take the advice from these guys, and you can have the credit. You can even have the credit, but you have the resources here. Pay stubs, we want our pay stubs back. Give us our pay stubs. Better break times. Yeah, PeopleSoft don't work. I was trying to get an apartment and can't even log in to print out the dumb pay stubs. So just give us their ping pay stubs back. I'm at D6. Really the only thing I can think of is we bring back the 83, 94, 212 line, go back to the mall. And she's actually writing it down. When we give you suggestions, take them. It's all right. It's all right. Besides that, I appreciate my union leadership, James, Latrina, Nathaniel, Joyce. I really didn't care about this stuff, and they got me to come, and I'm glad I came. And I appreciate the public and ATU 1555 and everybody. So, all right.
Okay, let's go ahead and call some more speakers. David Vartanoff, followed by Lonell Jones, Lisa Pinkney, and Trisha Leeds. Please go ahead.
Listo? Good evening. I'm David Vartanoff, a 53-year victim of AC Transit. Well, that is the reality, you know. I wanted to point at a couple of little things just in my own little neighborhood and issues that I think I don't understand how people can make these decisions. Start with line 7. Why is 7 duplicating the F on its lower end? What is that about? Secondly, when you take something like the 6 and you send it down through the Alameda tube that is closed down half the nights every so often, hello, we won't be able to use it on Telegraph going north because it's going to get lost somewheres on the route on account of the tunnel. Finally, about the 51, you know, the late Corey Levine was the one who ginned up dividing it in half. And I argued with him. I said, no, bad idea. And he said, I can't fix it on College Avenue. I can't get any on-time performance there. And of course, you can add to that University, which is just atrocious most of the day long. And you turn around and, okay, now we're going to make it go this other kind of way. It's like, hello, Get out there and do something about kicking the cars out of the way, because that's what's gonna be necessary. And screwing around with the routes doesn't fix it. Thanks for your time and attention.
We're gonna call a couple of speakers online
Finish this group.
after this one.
Okay, thanks. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
I can
Go
speak
ahead.
now.
No, yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
My name is Lionel Jones. I'm a new operator at Division Two. I've been here since October 2003 last year. Since I came here in training, all I've been hearing is AC Transit is the #1 in the country. AC Transit is the #1 in the country. You should be proud to be associated with this company. In the short period of time that I've been here, the only thing that I can claim to be proud of is these operators who came before me that's still here putting up with what you guys doing. That's the only thing that I see that's happening in this short amount of time. I've seen that the experts that are managing our logistics, realignments, schedules have failed. The reason that you guys have failed and are failing is because you refuse to work jointly with the people who are the meat and potatoes of this system. We're the people that you putting in jeopardy when it comes to pitting us against our travelers, making a hostile environment. If you're gonna ignore what our union reps are saying, if you're gonna ignore it and keep it hostile, then, well, I'm a resident of California. I want my hazardous pay, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a hazardous environment. These paddles are a joke. I'm gonna say that. It's a joke. And whoever's responsible for it, whoever the decision makers are, you need to stop doing what you do and try something new. Because you ain't gonna get new results if you keep doing the same thing. And that's what you're doing right now. This thing kept just speaking to me, this equity priority community. This is the priority community right here. It's the priority community, man.
Sir. Thank you. All right, come on up.
Okay, we're good to move on to the online speakers. Not-
Sorry. Okay, in a few minutes after this group is done. Come on up and give your, I haven't called her yet.
Hello, my name is Tricia Leeds, and I have three quick things to talk about. One is I really do want you to support the drivers. I've always had the nicest drivers whenever I've taken AC Transit, and I definitely am supportive of them. And I hope you are too. Without them, we don't have good services. And then secondly, please don't mess up the 51 line, because that's really important. And thirdly, it really made me feel sad when I heard tonight that 109 people with disabilities, they could be eliminated from using their paratransit services. And I really hope that, you know, I can only imagine how devastating and how isolating they would feel, you know, to lose their transportation. So, you know, please help remember them when you're making your decisions.
Hi, my name is Lisa. The realignment that AC Transit is trying to push through is not fixing the problem for us bus operators that we deal with on a daily basis. The issues are the available restrooms, the recovery time, as the drivers call it, the breaks, and the unachievable time points. AC Transit gives bus operators on the 18 line 4 minutes to get from San Pablo and Buchanan to Solano in the Alameda. There are 5 signal lights, 11 bus stops, and 44 crosswalks with a posted speed limit of 20 miles per hour, as well as double parked door dashers and people in a rush to pull out of parking stalls. I start my shift at 1:44 p.m. and I'm off at 10:07. I don't get a real break or a chance to enjoy the recovery time until 8 o'clock. I have been on the 18 line for almost 2 years. Since being on the line, I have stopped bringing my lunch. which was about a year ago. I don't drink my water until 8 o'clock recovery time in hopes that I won't use the restroom until I get off from work at 10:07. So from 1:44 to 8 o'clock, I loop around the cities with maybe a quick run to the restroom. And if I'm lucky, I might get a break there. Some days the 18 line buses ride back to back down Solano, Shattuck, and MLK. And usually the second or third bus is empty, which makes no sense. I wish I was the third bus, but I'm never. As a bus operator on the 18 bus line, I have told my family to only call me when it's an emergency because I am stressed and I barely get a break. My youngest son listened for once in his life and sat at home for 4 hours with 2 fractured fingers waiting for me to get off from work. My youngest son also got into an accident and was rushed to the emergency room. And because I was looping around the city for hours, I missed several phone calls. I listened to my voicemail as I was running to the restroom with 3 minutes left of my recovery time. I have more situations like that, but not enough time. I just want to say that we are not machines, we are human beings, and we have families at home. Thank you.
Let's move on to a couple of online speakers. iPhone, followed by Carter, then Valerie. So iPhone, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Anitria Brown. I am a D4 operator. So I wanted to speak on 2 lines, the 51, which everyone is speaking on. So I was forced onto a 51 run this past sign up. And so there's rarely a leader. And then by the time you get to the other end of the line, you're already late. And then if you use the restroom, you're going to be further behind. And I also want to say that on the 51, there are a lot of elderly and disabled passengers. So that puts us even further behind schedule on top of not having a leader, and, like several of the other operators have stated, I don't drink enough water that I'm supposed to be drinking. Because if I did, I wouldn't be able to get to the restroom. So to try to extend that route is just absurd. Another line that I wanted to speak on is the 1T. I hear you guys saying that you're losing money on fares. Well, you can make up some of that revenue if the 1T had the fare regularly inspected. And I also believe that if the fare was regularly inspected on the 1T, it'll cut down on some of the assaults because we get a lot of the unfavorable passengers on that line and they look at it as, oh, this is the free bus. Nobody's paying, and all the riffraff is on that line and it puts us drivers at more risk. Thank you.
Hey, Carter, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Carter Lavin. Can you all hear me?
If you can speak up a little bit.
All right, can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yes, that's
Okay,
better.
great. Hi, my name is Carter Lavin. I'm with the Trans Bay Coalition, and we stand in strong solidarity with the ATU 192. Woo. Yeah, it was great doing a talk with you all recently. You really taught me a lot. I live in Oakland, and I take the 12 bus, and I just took the NL to the Ballers game. Had intended to take the 29 back, but it was 30 minutes late. And one just part about the realign and justice, there's been a lot of talk about access to jobs and healthcare, but people access so many other things as well. We need to talk about, in this new reality, access to grocery stores, access to nature, access to schools. We're not seeing, those concepts aren't anywhere in the realign, and that needs to be part of this. And as to the other speakers, I think all the operators have spoken so powerfully about this. And so I'm going to do this a little bit different. Right now, you as the board members are in a crowded room with a lot of people. You're in a chair. It's been a couple of hours. You don't have a break coming up anytime soon. People are getting passionate. I see some of you kind of getting uncomfortable in your chairs. What if you need to use the restroom right now? What if you want to stand up and just take a quick stretch, just like a little break? Well, you can't. You're here this whole rest of the meeting. And even if you said, okay, well, let me pause and have a 3-minute break, 3 minutes, is 3 minutes enough? You get to the end of the line, you get to where you have your break. And what if the restrooms close? Bathroom's out of order. Can you try to duck into a restaurant? Is a cafe going to let you? Will you get in trouble for abandoning your bus? And so for the directors who are here, you know, this is might be an uncomfortable few hours for you on the board. I know board meetings are always really tough. This is there every day for the operators. And so as you are physically uncomfortable, as you're thinking, man, I need to use the restroom, as you're thinking about wanting a snack, or, hey, did you miss that call from that family member who really depends on you? This is the operators every day. So thank you.
Okay, Valerie Lancy.
Hello, my name is Valerie Lancy. I'm an AC Transit rider. Calling Realign not a service cut is extremely a dishonest move. It's a major reduction compared to pre-pandemic service, which is what everyone considers to be normal still. And it quietly codifies the completely uncontrolled decline of AC Transit service. It's ridiculous that management let service slow down this badly for years and didn't tactically intervene when OTP started falling and when operators started losing more and more breaks and conditions for everyone got worse and worse. It should not have taken years to get to this point where we're trying a messy intervention now. There should be a regular rapid intervention process that bubbles up to the board to avoid this. AC Transit should also be pushing DOTs for rapid deployment of bus lanes, bus signal priority, changing parking, anything that can be done now to speed up buses and to combat congestion instead of completely folding to it and cutting and cutting and cutting every time congestion gets worse. AC Transit should also pursue policy changes to speed up service, like expanding all-door boarding to decrease dwell times, which can be a major problem on some routes, and stop forcing operators to do fare enforcement themselves, which is a high-stress risk thing that also, again, slows down the bus. Thank you.
All right, let's hear from some of our in-person speakers. We have Sylvie, followed by Edward Reel, Troy Blake, Richard Mark Antonio, and Jacob Gimbel. Please approach the podium. Thank you, or the lectern.
Hi, I'm Sylvie. I'm a nursing assistant in a nursing home, and I know how demoralizing it is to have too much work and be understaffed. We just want to do our jobs and serve people, and to not be able to do that is so exhausting. So anyway, I support ATU 192, and I hope that they will get the breaks and the treatment that they deserve.
Good evening, board. My name is Edward Reel. I am the vice president of ATU 1555. I rather enjoyed the presentation that was put on, but we all know what it was. It was BS. You have your algorithm right here. You have your people, they're telling you what to do here. They have the information. They're on the bus every day. Listen to them, please. I thought it was very disingenuous to hear our partners, ATU, and then we talk about the meetings they're in where they're lied to their face. It's disrespectful. Be partners with ATU. That will make a great transit system here. We partner with our brothers and sisters at 192, and I hope you will too. It's imperative. They know who's getting on the bus. They know how long it takes. It's no longer an option. Make sure that you listen to 192. Thank you.
Good evening, elected board officials, my coworkers, passengers, everybody that ride AC Transit. I've been an Oakland resident for 30 years now. I live, work, do everything in Oakland, pay my supplemental taxes in Oakland. And portion of that goes to transportation. That's us. I'm a maintenance guy. I've been at AC Transit 5 years now, and I just made the change over to NBO. I'm in my black and white. I'm leaving training right now, coming straight here. I have DO 170 in the morning. And I'm gonna tell y'all, in training, I'm gonna put it in perspective for y'all. All them numbers he was reading, all that don't mean nothing. That's just numbers on the paper. I'm in training, and the stuff that I have to remember for safety, just safety, to be able to maneuver that bus 40 foot or 60 foot down the road and not hurt anybody, passengers or outside the bus, that doesn't even compare. Because then I still have to do all of that. And guess what? I still have to provide courtesy customer service. Most importantly, I have to maintain that the whole way. So if the people that's been doing this for so long is here asking, we're tired of asking y'all for stuff. I'll be honest with y'all. I was here for the hazard. When COVID happened, I started at AC Transit. I worked the whole COVID. And I came up here and I begged y'all for hazard pay. That's a shame. I hate doing this because I'm passionate about it. And it's like, I don't like begging for stuff that should be already a given. We come to work every day. The conditions that they go through, because I'm not even there yet. I still got 7 weeks to go before I can pull that bus out on the road by myself. The stuff that they got to deal with on the road every day, y'all don't even, that's not even factored in the algorithm. I can't, everybody said, you heard it. This meeting is recorded. Rewind it, play it back, watch it again. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. I'm Richard Mark Antonio with Public Advocates. I'm here in solidarity with our brothers and sisters at ATU 192. And I think that this is an opportunity. This is a special board meeting you called, but to me, it's a very special board meeting. It's a meeting where these hardworking brothers and sisters, many of whom have just gotten off the road after a very long day, have come out to offer their free advice. You know, this is a special opportunity for them, for that partnership that we keep hearing about to be launched tonight. And for this to be a regular occurrence where you are hearing directly from the people on the front lines about what's not in that algorithm and how much time it actually takes to get from, you know, from Ashby to wherever. The actual facts on the ground are much more complicated than what is being taken into account. And you've heard a lot of that. I'm not going to take any more of your time. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Jacob Gimbel. I'm with the People's Transit Alliance. I'm a lifelong Alameda County resident and a public transit enthusiast. On the topic of the 51A, I tried to write it here, but 2 were canceled in a row. So I'd really hate to see what that looks like when you merge 51A with 51B. So I'm here just to speak on behalf of human beings who are being subjected to ridiculous conditions. You know, as a rider, it's really easy to see the impact on drivers as they face burnout from missing their breaks. When I board the bus, if I'm the only one at the stop, I feel the impact that my choice to ride the bus has on them, because every stop they make increases the chances that they're going to miss their break. These schedules don't reflect the reality, and as designed, they put the needs of riders at odds with the health and safety of drivers. You say that you've used data in your proposed changes, but the proposed schedule alterations don't adequately address the widespread impacts on drivers' breaks. With all the data you have, you've somehow missed the inhumane working conditions that drivers are forced to endure. Listen to your drivers. The continued failure to improve working conditions is only going to guarantee a continued staffing crisis. I'll provide the benefit of the doubt that you are not trying to intentionally fail in your mission to provide safe, quality service, but in doing so, you cannot exploit your drivers. Thank you.
Our next speakers will be Ruth Wu, Michael Sebastian, Miguel, Maceo Morse, and Tom McGill. Oh, she did. Okay, thank you for that.
Good evening, board. My name is Michael, and I'm here with the People's Transit Alliance in the support of ATU 192. I have been an Oakland resident most of my life. I grew up taking AC Transit and have had to deal with late buses and that frustration since I was a child. Sometimes when buses didn't come, we would have to walk to another line to get to school. Currently, I live in an area without much bus service. Hearing about schedules here and taking buses as an adult, I'm reminded of the times when I would miss buses as a child and have to wait another hour for the bus to come. Kids in Oakland go through a lot, and I think we shouldn't put them through that, as well as the drivers. Now, as an adult, I have the added information of the strain that this is putting on our drivers who are struggling to make time in spite of poor planning. I want to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of all the drivers in the room, and I'm hoping that the board commits to ensuring that buses are scheduled with reliability in mind for the community, and the drivers don't have to rush and forego breaks to make impossible times. Please work with the union before finalizing any plans. I'm honestly shocked that so much of this has been put together without driver input, but hopefully going forward that can change. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miguel. I'm here with the People's Transit Alliance in staunch support of the ATU 192. I relied on the bus as my primary mode of transportation, and nothing is worse than, or for a regular commute, than an unreliable or unpredictable pickup time. Late for classes or work appointments, because I'm relying on a bus schedule that turns out to be impossible. Impossible for drivers to complete, so much that they have to shave time from their breaks and meals in order to complete it. The drivers are being ground to the bone, trying to make these ridiculous schedules work, and they're being pushed actively to burnout. And who is benefiting from this? Because it's not riders. You can predict that people are going to get upset when they're late to work. Now drivers have to deal with people that are mad over something that they have no control over. And that produces more burnout. And I hate that passengers and riders are being pitted against drivers in this instance, because we know who we should be mad at. It's the people that putting together a new schedule that doesn't work. So we put together a petition supporting the drivers in fighting for realistic scheduling. We got almost 150 signatures, 450, apologies. 118 alone from ATU 182, 123 from East Bay DSA, 38 more from UAW 4811, and many more, OEA, ATU 265, and SEIU 10-1. It's a broad array of organizations coming together. And I don't assume that your current scheduling is done solely to produce unhappy drivers and riders. But looking at the response here tonight, that's exactly what it is. So please fix this. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Masaya Morse. I am in support of ATU 192. And I'm a 13-year-old resident of Redwood Heights and really would like to see a bus route from Merritt College to UC Berkeley along the Highway 13 corridor. Currently, there is no transit service on the 13 corridor except for service to school routes, which run very few trips a day. There used to be a route on the 13 corridor that served our neighborhoods, but it was discontinued. A lack of service leaves residents of my community stranded and car dependent. Restoring service to the 13 corridor would decrease transit travel times by up to half, while increasing transit access to businesses and services along the 13 corridor. I have been gathering signatures in support of an AC Transit bus route between Merritt College and UC Berkeley for the last 5 weeks. I have gathered 160 signatures. Who should I give my petitions to?
I'll take them.
I don't have.
If you would like to collect some additional signatures and then turn it in toward the end of the meeting, please go ahead and do so, and then we'll take our next speaker. Okay. All right. All right. We can use a table outside so we can move on to our next speaker, or David, can you bring?
Over here, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. You just open up the meeting. Come on up. Oh.
I just want to say good evening to everyone that's in this room that's taking this time to come to support ATU 192. But I was taking a look at the plan, and I think the problem that I have is it looks more like a focal group survey and not a plan when ATU is not involved in the decision-making in regards to the realignment and especially scheduling. The things that are being said here has been said for many, many years. When you do not include ATU and the resources in regards to making decisions, then you are gonna have a problem, because it sounds that it's more based on the fiscal plan that I'm looking at. You're always talking about money, so I'm trying to figure out if it's the chief operating officer or the chief financial officer that's dictating what's being done. Because it doesn't matter, it seems like we, ATU, the operators, the mechanics, the clerks, everyone suffers when it's not being efficient, effective, and safe. And I think as long as you do not embrace 192 in the decision-making of realignment, rescheduling, there's nothing new. You just create a bigger problem when you change something that's been consistent and old instead of improving. And so I would leave you with this, to give you an idea of what the operators go through when they have to talk about using a bathroom. This building has 10 floors. Say about 1,000 or more employees in this building. How do you feel if every bathroom on every floor in this building was shut down and you had to go find another one?
Okay, we're going to move on to a couple of online speakers. Nick Pilch, followed by the phone number ending in 9209, then Carlos. So Nick, go ahead, please.
I'm sure he'll say
There we go. Hello. Hi, my name's Nick Pilch, and I am an ATU 1555 member. I was unable to join my union brothers and sisters there in person tonight, but I'm grateful that I can still comment and support my ATU 192 brothers and sisters. Please take to heart all the comments of the operators. They are on the front line. They are the front line, and they have the hard jobs, and they have the information that you need to make the system work well. Too often, their voices are not heard or listened to. So directors, please direct staff to have robust outreach to the operators in ATU, and please follow through to make sure that they are both heard, and their input is used and incorporated. As a fellow transit operator, I know well the pain of not getting breaks and the stress on me and the possible effects on rider safety and my well-being. And as a rider, I have experienced getting on a bus at the beginning of a line to learn that the operator just finished her route and had to start it again without any break. This is unacceptable. Making sure that operators have realistic schedules and proper breaks and abundant and easy to use and access restrooms is essential for many reasons. Operator retention, for one, safety of riders and other users of the road, reliability, and how about just plain treating the operators humanely and with respect. So I just want to support all the comments from my fellow union members and transit advocates out there who've also made some other great comments, and hope you all take this input to heart. Thanks for your time.
9209, go ahead.
Am I heard?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. For the record, my name is Clarence Fisher. I've been a rider of AC Transit back to the days of Key System, probably before most of you were even born or knew about it. I would say in the 60s and 70s, AC Transit had a very good system for the riders as well as for the drivers. Like that one young student who talked about Merritt College to Berkeley. You used to run a 37 line that did a good connection. Sadly, over the years, I'm seeing a cut after cut after cut. not only in the service, but I think not only the morale. Alan Bingham, who was a general manager, when I used to ride AC Transit way back when, General Manager Alan Bingham, I saw him on the bus. He saw and interacted with the drivers, as well as the board of directors. How often do the board of directors ride a bus, interact with the drivers? And the same with general managers and staff to get their input. Slowly over the years, this realign. There seems to be problems because for a while, there was one route, Bayfair to Fremont. Then we said, oh, we need to cut it up to provide, better on-time service. So that's why you split it up. Realign, though, it's realigning it almost back into the same route. We're going to have the same problems again. Realign needs to make sure that we are not going to keep repeating problems that we have had in the past. Otherwise, we're going to go through this every year or 2 years or 3 years. Take a look at everything. Thank you.
Okay, Carlos, go ahead.
How you doing? My name is Carlos Reyes. I'm a D6 operator. I've been with the company for 3 years. I worked the board, and as I worked the board, I've done almost every line. I've done every line of D6. Some of the routes don't even have enough break time, don't have enough running time. A lot of my operators are stressed out about that. The 200 don't have enough break time or running time. The 56, the 41, all of those lines don't have enough break time. They need to do something about that. Us as operators are stressed out. We don't have enough break time. We don't have enough running time. I also do day off work at D3. I've done the 72. The 72 is a workforce. They work you all day, not enough break time. I did it on Tuesday. I was 22 minutes late heading to downtown. Coming back was 23 minutes. With all the construction and everything, and you want to realign it, it's not fair for the operators to be stressed out like that all day. I did not get a break until my relief time. So y'all need to work something out to give more operators more break time and better restrooms and break rooms. If you keep your operators happy, they will do better work. Consider that. Consider the opinion of the operators. We're the ones out there in the work field. Y'all need to take care of us. You take care of us, we take care of you guys. It is not fair for us that we bust our butts out there and all they want us to do is work harder. You want us to work harder, but don't want to give us more money. You guys don't want to give us breaks. Lunchtime, 15 minutes. State of California says we need to have 30 minutes mandatory lunchtime. How do we get 15 minutes as a lunchtime and break time? It takes you 5 minutes to get to a break room. 5 minutes to warm your food up, and you gotta eat your food in 5 minutes, and then you gotta get back on your bus. That's your whole break time. Y'all need to do better. I strongly agree. Thank you.
All right, we're going to hear from Lois next, followed by Yvonne Williams, followed by Alice or Alice Mainhart, Tony Lewis, and Linda Benson. Please come on up.
Good evening. My name is Lois Merritt. I live in Oakland, California. I am a healthcare worker, frontline worker, just like my fellow bus drivers here. I first want to say thank you for carrying me to my job during the pandemic. Because if it wasn't for you, and I'm sorry to get emotional, but if it wasn't for you, I couldn't help my patients. I know how hard it is to deal with the public. I know how, because like I work in patient services. I'm a proud union healthcare union member. So I support the union here. I know how hard it is because when I talk to patients on the phone, and it is on the phone, I don't know what I'm gonna get. I don't know if I'm gonna get a upset member crying, yelling, screaming, emotional, happy patient. I don't know what I'm gonna get, just like the bus drivers here. I ride the bus 5 days a week, sometimes on the weekends, but they don't know what they're going to get when they get on the bus. And I guess what I wanna say, the bottom line is, if you're not in somebody's shoes, because they don't know how it is to be dealing with the patients. I don't. I know how to do that. That's my profession. I've been doing it for 11 years. Like, I don't know how it is to be a bus driver. So when someone who is not familiar with the bus drivers go through, you cannot make decisions. Because if you're not on the front line and you're in your offices and your typewriters and your computers, you don't know what they're going through. You don't see them getting yelled at. You don't see when people are saying, can I get a free ride? Or, you don't see what they're going through. They're there for us. I appreciate them. Like being a healthcare worker, I'm sure when you call your doctor or you speak to a nurse or a patient service representative that schedules an appointment, you appreciate us because we're there on the job. And what's so interesting is that we both get burnt out. Both get dealt with emotional stuff and the physical part of it because it's a lot, So what I'm saying is, for me, unless you are in their shoes, you really cannot make decisions. Putting decisions on paper doesn't work. Unless you are on the front line, seeing it firsthand, then you can make decisions. That's all I got to say.
Yvonne, hello.
Thank you. Hello, brothers and sisters, board members. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on platitudes. I want to get right to the point. About 10 years ago, AC Transit and ATU did a baseline study on the health of transit operators. What was found in that study is that AC Transit operators had a higher level of diabetes, hypertension, musculoskeletal disorders, higher than any other bus system in the nation. And that tells you that AC Transit schedules are harming the operators and making them sick. Therefore, it should be an industrial injury. If AC Transit does not fix these schedules, knowing that it's causing these type of injuries, then they're responsible for the injuries. That means our operators should be filling out industrial injury claims on diabetes, on hypertension, and on any other diseases that they developed as a result. Furthermore, what I wanted to talk to you guys about that today. Cost neutral. What does cost neutral mean? That means you're not going to do anything. That's what it means, plain and simple. When someone tells you they want a proposal and they want to make sure that it's the status quo, that means you can go straight to HELL. We're not going to do a doggone thing for you. AC Transit has a responsibility to provide a safe service for the passengers. The passengers are in danger. Why are they in danger? Because the operators are fatigued. Operators are supposed to never, ever, ever operate a schedule unless they've had the required amount of rest and that they're mentally and physically able to provide that service. So if an AC Transit operator is fatigued, that's on AC Transit if they're not fixing the schedules. And what the operator should do is call AC Transit and tell AC Transit, I cannot come to work today because I am fatigued.
Yes.
Greetings, I'm Alyssa Mainhart. I live in Alameda. I'm an AC Transit rider, key system of 70 years. But first, I came to talk about realignment, but first I want to say something. I was a nurse for 40 years. I know something about understaffing, no breaks, burnout. It's very triggering for me even now, and I stand in solidarity with these unions. Okay, that said, I feel like with realignment, I've kind of been the outreach person for Alameda. It doesn't seem to be any information there. I've been riding the bus. There's nothing on the bus about it. I've been gone to every meeting that I can, the one at Alameda City Hall with AC. I heard the same stuff from the January type information. I went down to Mastic Senior Center, the transportation meeting, because I thought it would be a good place to interact with my elderly peers. And the woman there, I said, could I just say that there's a realignment going on, and it affects the 51A. actransit.org/realign, educate yourselves and give feedback. They're asking for it. That woman who was running that meeting, who no longer works for Mastic, now she works for AC, which is interesting. She said to me, the 51 is not going anywhere. So that's how much she knew. And that was just about a month ago or so. So that's very bad outreach. So on Nextdoor, people were complaining about having trouble reading the route maps online. So AC was trolling that thing and they said, we're really sorry about that. And we're going to put maps in all the libraries. So I went down and looked for it. Nothing happened. I thought, well, give them some time. I went down this morning. They knew nothing about it. Main Library, Alameda. So I have had a real problem with the whole outreach thing from the beginning of all this. And I'm a big proponent of keeping the 51 as it is, but thank you for your time.
All right, our next speaker is Tony Lewis. Okay, please go ahead. We'll let you know when you have 30 minutes to 30 minutes, 30 seconds.
minutes. Thank you
30
so
seconds
much.
to sum up.
Anyway,
I'm trying to make sure everybody's awake. Okay?
I want to thank all the drivers here. I've been riding the bus forever. It is so wonderful to hear a lot of familiar voices in the room. And and it's also really good to hear. This is my 4th meeting that I've been to. And the first one I came to, there was only 4 of us supporting the 51 bus. And I've never heard 51 repeated so many times in one night than I have tonight. So I'm really happy to hear that this is important to drivers and riders alike. What I will say, I know you guys have been taking a beating up there. But what I will say is that what I was pleased to hear at one of the meetings, you heard us when we said that we wanted to keep Kaiser. And what I'm hearing from the drivers too is that why was that never thought of to begin with? So there is a communication gap. If you guys planned all of this and then not knowing that the only medical facility, extended medical facility, because we have a clinic in Alameda, is the Kaiser in Oakland. And that wasn't planned for, and it was like an afterthought. I was like, oh yeah, they got to get to Kaiser. But still, the problem isn't fixed. The 19 is a very meandering route and much longer than the 51 route to get out to that, get out to that Kaiser. So I really hope that you'll reconsider doing that.
30 seconds.
And there are also other problems related to that. I also would like reconsidered the 21 bus stopping at the airport. I think a lot more advertisement needs to go in to let people aware of all of these buses. I think that could be a very, very valuable route if promoted correctly. That's all I got. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and call our last 2 in-person speakers before we move to our final online speakers, Linda Benson and Charles Moore. Would you like we have a wireless microphone for you.
Hi, I'm Linda Benson and I'm a passenger. And I think a lot of you know. And I'm grateful for all the bus drivers that have taken me to my job in San Francisco as a software engineer or whatever. And so, first of all, I'm with everybody else about 51A, that we need to keep it to go to Kaiser. And that's very important. And the other thing is that now there a lot of people don't want to pick me up because I'm in a wheelchair. And so I'm wondering if there's some kind of a law change that they don't want wheelchair riders anymore. So that's a concern for me. That in fact, when I was coming here tonight, there was a cancel of the first bus, and then the next bus wouldn't take me, and then finally whatever. And then there were 2 more cancels after. So that's a concern I have. And also, I'm very concerned about the new MCI buses. And I don't know how many you have ridden where people like me ride, you know, I call it the luggage section. And I'm not being picked up. There's trouble with the ramps. And I don't like it at all. It doesn't work for me. So, but anyway, I want to thank everybody that got me to my job.
Thank you. And Charles Moore? Is Charles Moore? Oh, there you are. Great. You're the next contestant.
doing
Come on
this here?
down.
Hello, 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 hello. How you doing? I wanted to change up a little bit because we already done talked about everything. Y'all already know our complaints. I'm gonna talk to my union and we're gonna come up with a strategy, see if we can get them over there in training to do a job for the next 8 weeks and come on out here. And if they last a year, we'll go for the plane. Because I guarantee you they won't. And they're coming for me because I'm on my 35th year.
Okay. Our next four speakers are online. Sugar Mom, followed by Cruz, Adrian, and Demetrius. Sugar Mom, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Ann Boyd, Division 2 operator. Can you hear me?
If you can speak up a little bit, go ahead now. Let's try.
My name is Ann Boyd. I'm a D2 operator. I just got one or two things to touch on. I do everybody who's sitting on that board, nearly everyone sitting on that board came to ATU. They stood in front of us and they asked for our help to get them elected. And they listened to our questions, and you know what? We got them elected. So now board operators who came, board people who came to ask for our help to get you your job, it's time to give it back. The people who are making decisions regarding these routes, I get it. They got degrees or they're smart, they're tech, blah, 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 but they half of them probably have never even ridden a bus. They surely don't know how to schedule a bus. They don't know what it's like to drive the bus. So for you not to sit here and reach out to ATU 192 to get a perspective, an understanding about it, because a lot of you guys don't even ride the bus. I have some people flash their badges, they won't even speak. A lady got on the bus today, flashed her badge, didn't even look in my face, kept on going, got out, that was it. That's fine. But you don't know what you're doing. This bus company has been declining for so many years. And it seems like, yeah, everybody want to keep their job. So we change this, we reroute that, we put that back over there, we change the number, we're going up Ashby, now we're at 80, we're at 70, we are this, we are that. You don't know what you're doing. Reach out to the people who know what's going on. And just because our contracts say we only can have a certain amount of minutes for lunch or a break does not mean you have to stick to it, because we're human. It takes longer than 5 or 6 minutes to use the bathroom, eat, and get to the next spot. Thank you.
Okay, Cruz, followed by Adrian. Cruz, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the time. I'm a D2 bus operator, and just let me say this. All the board, stand up and go to the restaurant. Let's see how long it's gonna take you to use the restroom. It's sad to get to this point and saying this, that it's gonna be my 6 years working for AC Transit, and I love my job, but it's been so difficult for me. It's been unhealthy conditions and so many different ways. I was a healthy person until I started working at AC Transit. Now I suffer from hypertension and anxiety. And you all can relate why. Um, it's sad to say that as soon as I get vested, I'm thinking on leaving this company because now this plan that you guys are trying to do is gonna increase the anxiety. It's gonna increase my hypertension because it's not realistic. It's unrealistic. Plus, so many different things that affect our daily basis or job is so stressful in so many different ways. Every time that we get to a bus stop, and there's so many violations. I might be wrong, but I think AC Trans is committing so many violations to the ADA, American Disability Act, which not providing the correct length for the bus stops, safe bus stops for the passengers to board and on board. We had to board passengers in the middle of the street, and then one of these passengers fall, we get it charged right away, no question asked. Why you were far from the curve? And they don't see that part. And the times that they give us for like one point to the other point, it's like 2-3 minutes, and it's like so many lights, this traffic that I mean, just get on the bus, ride with us, and go try the data. That's the real data. Let's go. I invite you to go with us.
Okay, thank you. Adrian, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Adrian McFarland. I am a D6 operator, and I've been here for about 10 years. And my biggest concern is that I've never had to worry about using the bathroom for so much in a job. Never, ever, ever have I had to worry about that. And I think the psychological aspect of how terms are presented to us, where it's not break time. Everybody's talking about break time at the end of the lines. It's not. And they teach us this. They say it's recovery time. They say it's for the schedule. It's not for us. And we psych ourselves out, and we don't even realize it. That we go, well, I got to make sure I get there so I don't leave out late on the next trip. So I sacrifice bathroom. I sacrifice just getting up out of the seat. And we have all been a victim of psyching ourselves out and not doing what we humanly are, what we should be able to do as a human, and not act as a robot. And a lot of things that they put with, now this is actually going towards drivers. So anybody who's hearing this, they teach us, if you're gonna be late, be late. Don't run on this schedule if it doesn't work, because all the scheduling department does is look at data. They see that the run is being met, these time points are being met by these drivers who are trying to get to the end of the line on time, because we need that time to be able to be a human. And they're going to go and take that data, or you guys are going to go and take that data and create the schedules how you want to based on that data. That's why, as like everybody's been saying, talk to the drivers. Make sure that they're the ones that tell you, hey, this doesn't work, not just based off of data, based off of humans. Humans are the ones that are running this company. Humans are the ones that are driving this bus. Humans are the ones that should be telling what should happen. I get that you have to shuffle through what works and what doesn't, but at least you're using humans rather than data, rather than algorithms. It's always got to be humans first. Thank you.
Demetrius, go ahead, Demetrius. We'll give it, there we go. I see her.
Yes.
Unmuted.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yes. My name is Demetrius Hatcher, AKA This is Texas. Check it out. My part is clarification on what everybody just said. What they meant by ride the bus, not just sit on a bus and critique what the driver is doing. What they mean by that is critique what is going on while that driver is driving, because people has gotten on the bus and critique what the driver is doing versus what could help that actual driver while they're driving. Two, the free fare. Let's make a clarity on the fare there. Nobody is saying anything about passengers have to pay their fare because we've done that. We gave them free fare on the pandemic. These people are upset regardless of what the fare is, and they're also saying it's too high. So they get angry at us for that, without us even having to quote fares or any of that. So that whole fare discussion, please remove that from the drivers, because we're not the ones who's raising fares to even make these people upset and angry. After that, I got people with a long shift going home. Most drivers live from 2 hours to an hour and a half to an hour away to try to get to this job, to maintain their job, be safe, make money for their families, and go home. If these drivers were making a livable wage in the areas that they work in, they will be able to stay here in the area, less stress, get to work and go home and get sleep and rest to come back to work and deal with passengers and their job and have a work-life balance. Just take note of all that for clarification.
Since this was the last comment, the public comment is now closed, and turning over to you, President Young.
Okay, why don't we take some board comments unless staff wants to say anything?
And Director Peoples has had his hand up for a while.
I saw that he was the first person to raise his hand, so why don't we take some board comments? Director Peoples, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to make several disparate comments. I don't know whether the representative of the mayor or the president of the council are still on, but I hope that they will support us in getting the developer of the multi-billion-dollar Brooklyn Basin to pony up for transit service. Now, this happened long before they were on the council, before the Department of Transportation was set up, but we negotiated, Tony Brazzoni negotiated with what was then called Oak to Ninth and offered them a great deal to get all their people eco passes from AC Transit. They chose not to do that, and with the approval of the city of Oakland, nobody on the council now except maybe Noah, they were allowed to hire non-union labor to do a very limited shuttle that was only available to residents of Brooklyn Basin that shuttled back and forth to 12th Street BART. That never should have been allowed. They have a multi-billion-dollar project that's on the west side of 8 lanes of freeway and 12 tracks with very limited access and egress. And I put it on the ILC, but I hope that we and the city of Oakland can figure out a way to make the developer for that project pay for transit access into that project. That's point sort of one. Point two, I've argued with management around here, back to Rick Fernandez, that our schedule should reflect reality, not something theoretical. And Mike, I think, has done a great job, and he gets hit with whiplash because the last time they brought a project to us, it really did emphasize recovery time and all that stuff. But the result was many, many lines went to an hour and a half hour headways. And we told him to come back with something else. He's come back with something else. And now he's getting the reaction from 192 and their allies. And it's obviously something we got to listen to, because the schedules have got to reflect reality, not just what somebody sees in an algorithm, depending on our computerized stuff that keeps track of the buses. So good luck with that, but thank you for all the work you've done, and I think you did a good job. A couple of specific things. I understand what you're trying to do with the 16 and the 51. You're cutting off the 51 in Alameda, running the 16 in Alameda, and starting the 51 at Lake Merritt BART, and then trying to run it past Rockridge BART. I get that. I've been caught because past few years I've been in a wheelchair. I've been caught getting off the 51A, trying to get on a 51B and having it pull away. But the reason we did the split way back when was because Berkeley cannot control its roads. Berkeley does not want to enforce double parking for ordinary cars, to say nothing of FedEx, UPS, post office, etc. And I'm highly skeptical, and I'm willing to try it out for a year or so, but I think we definitely should look at that change if we make it after a year or so, to see whether that going down College and going down south of campus is functioning. I unfortunately don't think it will. But that's, and you know, the 19 is sort of roundabout, but it would get you to Kaiser, and that's a good thing. But anyway, I'll limit my comments to those, and good luck.
Director Beckles, are you prepared? The floor is yours.
I've got a lot to say today. I usually don't have I usually listen more than I talk. So I really want to start off by saying I just want to thank all of the speakers who came out today, the union, the allies, the riders, in support of the workers. And I have to say, I am so proud of you all. You all organized yourselves and you came out here, you took the time from your schedules to be sure that your voices were heard, not hoping, but you wanted to be sure, and you came out. So good job. And most of you know, I'm a rank and file union member myself, so it's no secret. It's no surprise, you know, that I absolutely support y'all. I support you in your concerns. I support you in your what you have to say. I respect the work that you do immensely. You know, earlier I had to get up to stretch. I had to get up to stretch, and I could stretch here, but I always think it's a little distracting. So I go in the back and I'm listening because we have a speaker back there. And that was, you know, because my watch said it was an hour and I needed to get up and stretch because I have some back issues. And I can't imagine, that was only an hour that I was sitting here, and it's time for me to stretch again. It's about another hour. And I can't imagine having to work a schedule where that's not possible. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine having to work a schedule where I can't comfortably go relieve myself as a human being. I cannot imagine that. And so I would not want, I just don't think that any human being, any worker should have to endure that kind of discomfort in doing their jobs. I'm going to reiterate some of the points that were made because I want to be clear that the points that I absolutely support. Everything everyone said was on point. Everything. But one of the things, as a rank and file person, is that used to really frustrate me was when the county would create different policies and such, and didn't come to us to hear from us, because we know firsthand, we're the ones doing the job. We are in the trenches, we know. So, you know, the workers know the problems, and so I think it's important for us to listen to them. And one point that really resonated with me, and I think everyone said it, and I want to reiterate it, is that it all comes down to operator schedules. That's it. Schedules currently, from what I'm hearing, it's not healthy. And if we want happy riders, if we want happy workers, then it's important for us to hear what it is that causes them to not be able to do their jobs in ways that doesn't cause stress, that then trickles down, that stress then trickles down to the riders. So having these unhealthy schedules is not going to benefit us as a district. One of the speakers mentioned just how the current timetable risk behavior. Many speakers mentioned that, and I think it was Keith Brown who mentioned just how big of a risk we are taking with regard to operator burnout and injury when breaks aren't necessary. And in going back to why I took a little break earlier, I drink a lot of water because it's healthy. To not be able to drink water because I'm not going to be able to relieve myself, it just is such I believe it's such an unhealthy way for us to operate. I think that one of the words that another speaker used was nightmare schedules. Schedules that causes increase in health disparities, health issues, health challenges like hypertension and diabetes and those kinds of things. If we know, especially if the data shows that this is some causes of it, then it's our responsibility, as an agency to ensure that we do what we can to ensure that our drivers are healthy. Of course. So, improving reliability through better schedules, so that the operators don't, aren't pressured to have to speed or not take care of themselves, I think is going to be important as well. Now, one of the things I'm curious about is that, let's see, where's my note? Where is it? One of the questions that I have was, one of the union members mentioned that the planning department hadn't met with ATU regarding these issues. And I'm curious about it because I thought that that was a direction from the board to do. So I'm just wondering.
Through the chair, would you like me to respond? Mike Kirsch, General Manager. First off, I would like to also thank all the commenters. We absolutely met with ATU. However, that was under the previous administration. Clearly, the message is loud and clear tonight. You have my commitment to redouble those efforts. I am actually excited by what we hear. First off, every employee should have access to bathrooms and schedules that are reasonable with the break time, and we will triple our efforts to make that happen as soon as we can. I'm excited because I believe this president, Latrina Meredith, clearly has the voice, the ear, and the attention of the members, and that's going to give us the chance to have honest dialogue with what we really need to fix. There's been a ton of comments tonight. I don't think we can go over any specific exactly what we're going to do. The purpose of tonight was for us to hear this. We hear it loud and clear. We had met with the previous administration. I have had personal meetings on schedule reliability with this administration, but it's early in the process. You have my commitment that we will continue to work on that. This clearly is not going to move forward without the support of ATU.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And we definitely should not move forward without, the workers, the workers having buying on this. So I appreciate your words, District Manager. I appreciate that. And everybody heard it. All right. And I know that it was a direction. So the fact that our District Manager heard it and we'll follow up with that. I'm excited, and I'm definitely feeling a lot better about this conversation, knowing that the workers' voices are being heard. Thank you.
Hey, gentlemen at the podium could have another sip of water. I see that you've been sipping water regularly.
You know, maybe in light of maybe in light of the general manager's comments, I mean, we could waste more time and hear from the board members, or we could cut the meeting short and allow you guys to get to work on fixing the schedule.
Yes.
I don't know what the,
Yeah.
so that sounds good to me too. The question is whether or not my colleagues, you know, when people have a mic in front of them, they want to talk. So with that, Director Walsh.
Well, first, I want to thank everybody who's come out here. It's almost 8 o'clock. You've all been here for 3+ hours. We're not done yet. And I really appreciate hearing from our operators. We don't get to see you here that often. So thank you for filling the room. Thank you for speaking out. I really appreciate it. And I did have some questions for the team. Well, it's great that we're hearing this feedback, and I know it's real. This is people's experience. They're not making it up. This is a real problem that we obviously need to fix. So I'm curious, what have you heard in your meetings with the operators? What have you heard about solutions, things that can be done? I know there's adding runtime. What else can we do? Are there certain areas where the bus can't make it back into traffic, or certain lights that are broken? Or, I mean, are there things that are happening out there that we can have some control over to speed the bus? And I'll give you an example. I ride the bus. Many of you have seen me probably. I'm on the 6, I'm on the 72, I'm on the 18, I'm on the 88, I'm on the 57, I'm on the F. I live near D2, so I don't have a car, and you'll see me a lot on the bus. When I was riding the bus the other day on the line 6 on Telegraph, I noticed that we kept hitting a light at Hawthorne and at 30th. I feel like every time I ride that bus, I hit a light at those intersections. And they're not even major intersections. It's just a small street that hits Telegraph. And we discovered that the light was broken and that the signal was prioritizing the side street traffic. Instead of Telegraph, they were prioritizing the side street traffic. Hardly any cars are even on there, but every time a car pulled up to that intersection, it would get the green light, which means that the bus has to sit there, for a minute. Pardon? It delays the schedule. So right there, we found out that there was a problem with these 2 lights, and that we're going to work with the city of Oakland and fix that. And that's a minute right there. That's 1 minute that we just found in timing to speed that bus along. Are there other examples of that stuff that we can hear from operators? You only know it if you ride the bus. You only know it if you get out there in the field. And so have we heard of suggestions like that from our operators of where things like that could be improved so that we could keep the bus moving?
We have. So we meet every month with the drivers committee, and we get feedback from them. We also, in the last round of outreach, for the previous iteration of the plan, we did workshops at every single division, from 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we got a lot of feedback on the previous iterations of the plan that informed what this particular plan looks like. There are plenty of things that we can do, and we've heard some examples of them today that are outside of Realign specifically, which is where the bus is going and how often are they going. We've heard a lot of really good things. So we've heard good suggestions. And what I will say is that we've been really responsive to what we've heard in the past, and we plan to continue to do so. So this plan has changed fundamentally. I think Director Peoples mentioned the plan that we brought in January really had a strong focus, in particular on on-time performance at the last time point, so that the buses would end their trip on time and provide a full break. What we heard was that the service reductions were too significant to make way for that sort of reliability improvement. And so we went back to the drawing board and came up with this plan. And so what I think we need to do is go back and figure out where we can find the right balance between those things. And in addition, the general manager has also created a task force where we're working on wrapping up the initial findings of what are all the aspects that go into the day-to-day life of a bus operator that impact their quality of life. And we've heard a lot about restrooms. We've heard break rooms, layover locations, times, schedules, run times, all those sorts of things. We want to actually, we've done a lot of work in the field. We've done a survey, we've done a ton of work. And we're working on making sure that those things are addressed as well. And what would it take to get there? So realign is one thing. As a district, we're working on a lot of things all at the same time.
So more questions for the board and the public. I know it sounds like the run times don't reflect reality. And I'm wondering why that is. If things, is it traffic congestion? Is it that more people are riding and people take a long time to get on the bus? Is it that there's more cars on the road? Why is it that has gotten so out of whack? I see hands raising, but that's not how it works. Exactly, right?
I don't oversee the schedule specifically.
Good evening, Robert Del Rosario, Director of Service Development and Planning. Yes, so the challenges that we have with schedules, and if you look at some other data for metropolitan areas, you have your speeds basically declining in transit. And this is something that we want to try to resolve at a regional level and figure out, okay, there's only a certain amount of things that we can do in order to fix the schedule. So one thing is, as Mike Ushelman had mentioned, we can make some reductions in frequency and then reinvest that into more running time for the operators. But of course, that results in less frequency for the customer. The opposite side of that is, well, what can we do to improve transit priority?
Right.
And so if we know we see our speeds declining, then projects that do get the bus to move more reliably along the corridor make a difference. But as you can see in this region, in the country, it's very difficult to deliver those impactful type of rapid bus BRT type of projects.
I'd like to expand on that if I could.
Sure.
First off, we happen to have a leadership meeting set up with ATU tomorrow afternoon, so we're going to absolutely continue the dialogue with ATU leadership and me and my management team. We could talk about, and I don't want to undershadow or undermine anything. We are absolutely going to be committed to working on everything we have control of to improve the life of an operator. But let's cut to the chase. We paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to Time to 1T to provide the signal timing plan for BRT Tempo, and the city of Oakland will not implement it. We ask for red curbs. We ask for bus only lanes, and we get none of it. We have asked for help with shelters we don't own. Clean up your shelters. We get no support. We've asked for enforcement. I cannot go ticket a FedEx truck or a UPS truck, but I can ask Berkeley to do it. I can ask Oakland that has no enforcement to do it. For us to achieve what these people really deserve is not within the full control of this board. We need to put the pressure on our elected officials. We need to put the pressure on the municipalities and the counties that we operate in. If you want to make transit a priority, one of the callers commented about the number of red carpet lanes that happened in San Francisco. Why has that not happened in the city of Oakland? We don't have those decisions. So I'm sorry to be passionate and upset about this, and I take ownership and responsibility for our schedules department, and I will remain committed to get there. But we also need this level of organization and demanding of our partners in the streets that we operate in. We can't stop the double parking. We have technology to start to write citations, but it doesn't change the behavior until our partners help.
Right. Yeah.
And thank you. And thank you for that candid response. Do you have additional questions, comments?
Well, thank you for that. And I think that's really important because there are a lot of things that we can do to get the schedules to match up with reality. And we need to do all of those things. So we need to make the signals better so that we're not sitting at all these red lights. We need to get bus lanes when possible so we can just cruise along, pick people up and keep moving instead of getting stuck in traffic. We need to do a lot of things like that. And so you're right, a lot of it's not in our control, but we can advocate strongly for it with our city partners, and they can sort of fix the streets and do the signal timing so that we can actually make it through faster. Another thing is folks paying with cash. I mean, I would love to get folks on Clipper because that every quarter, every nickel, you can't move until those folks are in the seat. And that can take a lot of time. So I would like to do a lot more outreach about getting folks on Clipper. And then they can get the discount and then we'll get the bus moving faster. So it's a win-win situation. So I don't want to just ignore all these other tools that we have in the toolbox. I want to make sure that we're putting forth all the solutions, and nobody mentioned except David Vartanoff, and he left, cars. I mean, really, the fact that the bus is slow is because there's too many cars in the way. So we need to get that worked on. And so what I really don't like pitting drivers against riders. I know that our drivers care about our riders. You see them every day. You know who you're picking up. You care so much about our riders and our working class riders. And our people care about the operators. No, you heard it tonight. Everybody's coming here to talk about their line that they want. And then they change their tune and they start saying, I support the operators and I want my line fixed. You know, so that you have an impact on them. Nobody wants to put this on the backs of the operators. So we are all in this together and we all need to support one another. And I don't feel like we need to pit workers against riders. That's not right. So I think, you know, I definitely support the effort to make the run times match reality so that folks can get their breaks. And obviously that's important. And I just want to make sure that we look at all of the different options we have for doing that. And there's just a lot of ways that we can do that. So let's explore them all. Let's listen to our operators. They know best. They're out there every day, hours and hours. They know where the bottlenecks are. They know where the problems are. They know, you know, so let's listen to them and let's adjust based on their feedback. So that's all I have for now. Oh, I did have some specific questions about the lines that we haven't even talked about. I've heard a lot from riders in my area about line 7. I think I've seen a lot of the public comments that it's reduced to 60 minutes. As we know, a 60-minute bus is just not very helpful. And I just learned in the Berkeley ILC meeting that the line 7 that runs on Ashby has had 8 times the ridership growth. So why would we take a line that's doing so well, you know, that's gone from several hundred riders to several thousand in the past year and bring it back to 60-minute frequencies? I really think that we should have that on the target list, maybe not now because we can't do everything at once, but maybe we have that on the bridge to 100% list to bring that up to a better frequency, because 60 minutes is really not helpful for folks. I also want to comment on the line 65 and 67. The fact that they're not running on the weekends, people don't just stay in their house on the weekends. They go places. I mean, you're not trapped in your house. Maybe you go more places on the weekend. Maybe you work from home during the week, and then on the weekend is your chance to go grocery shopping, go to the park, go see friends, get out, go to the doctor. So I think that this idea of weekend versus weekend service is just obsolete. We need to run the service every single day of the week. So I would like to see that again. I understand that we can't have everything that we want at this very moment, but I would like to see that on the list for future improvements when more resources come available. The weekend service, I've heard a lot of people I heard from a person who lives with her grandparents in the hills, and on the weekends she's stranded. She can't afford Uber rides. She can't walk down and up that hill. She can't ride a bike. So she's stranded up there in the hills on the weekends without service. So we don't want to strand people either. And I think bottom line, we can't be operator and revenue neutral. We need more money. We need more operators so that we can provide the service, so that we can have the better run times, and so that we can meet our goals. And I think, you know, we should be advocating strongly for funding. I know that 1031, the bill was just killed. Unfortunately, we didn't do anything to help keep that alive. But, you know, how are we going to get that money? What's the solution here? We need money, we need funding, we need more operators so that we can provide better benefits and better situation for our operators so that we can grow the pie. I don't want to preside over this board in my time as an elected official over cuts and terrible conditions for operators and service cuts and frequency cuts for riders. That's not what I'm here to do. So with that being said, I'll just let the rest of the board make their comments as well. But thank you again for coming out.
Thank you.
Dr. Syed.
Good evening. Just want to thank everyone who's still with us here and who showed up and spoke up. I am really heartened and also inspired to see such solidarity tonight and to see riders showing up for workers and workers, you know, coming in after you've already worked a long shift. And so I really appreciate that and value this, as it was put, free advice we've received tonight. So I do think this is a great opportunity to really to launch that partnership with ATU, with our workers. And I just wanted to hear a little more from staff about how you plan to incorporate this feedback into the realign process and ideas you have for moving forward in a way that doesn't require our workers to come and give us free advice, right? But just so, you know, I want to acknowledge that the commitment of the general manager, right? To say, we're going to get there. We're committed to it. We're not going to move forward without ATU's support. But what does that look like? And what does that mean for this project, this schedule? If you can please share.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready to give that level of detail tonight. We need to meet with ATU leadership. This has been a very loud and clear message delivered. We'll report back to the board after we have those meetings with ATU.
And regarding the Service Reliability Task Force report, I really appreciate hearing about that and the work going into it. What's your plan for operator in reach on that? Is that occurring? And when will that report be coming to the board?
So when we worked on the existing conditions for that, we conducted a survey. We got almost 200 responses from operators regarding that survey. We also went to every single division and set up tables and sought input from operators on what were the things that affected their lives negatively and positively? What do they have in terms of solutions? What would work best for them moving forward? So the next step is compiling all that information and identifying recommendations and moving from there.
Thanks. And will you be circling back, going back out to say, here's, we heard you, here's what we found, and, before it's finalized and comes to the board?
We're working on, we need to figure out what the recommendations are, and we need to work on that internally, and then we'll come back with a timeline.
Thank you. So regarding the current realigned draft plan, I'm concerned that we had such a short period for public outreach on this. I know that staff did their best, and but we've heard tonight that we've fallen short. The plan has not been available apparently in the library, at other places. So that's concerning to me. We also haven't heard from some communities that have longer processes in order to hear from commission, to go through their processes, to get a formal letter, right? Comment letter on this document. So, given where we are today, is staff still planning on pointing towards, the August approval of this? What impact would it have if we extended that public comment period by a month? And is the aim still March 2025 implementation?
As of tonight, that's still the plan. Clearly, there's a lot we need to react to after tonight's input. I do want to caution the board that we've heard the exact opposite. We've had a significant number of compliments about just how far we have gone on the outreach. I've been through many of these. We would love to make every single passenger and resident happy, and the bottom line is the way public transit is funded or not funded in the United States, that's just not going to happen. My direction to the team is to press forward. Obviously, we have a lot of hard work to do with our represented employees. If we reach a point where we cannot make that timeline, we will immediately come back to the board and explain why that is.
Right.
Quick, to respond to one of your questions. So we were at 21 libraries on time. So I'm not sure, but we're not at all libraries. And so that list is on the website, and we're at the same libraries that we were at in phase 3, which was last fall.
Thank you. So will the board receive an analysis of all of the public feedback that we've received to date prior to the deadline for making any necessary revisions ahead of the public hearing? And if so, when will we receive that? Like, not just the feedback, like hundreds of things, but actually a staff analysis saying, here's this feedback, here's where we agree with it, here's where we're modifying things, here's where we disagree, here's why. Please share.
Yeah, so the plan for that is to include it within the packet for the call for the public hearing. So not the actual public hearings themselves, but when we ask the board for permission to set a public hearing, we would include within that packet the summary and analysis of engagement.
Great. And then the plan that comes forward would reflect any revisions that staff has made.
And this is consistent with what we did with AC Go. So at AC Go, towards the end of the process, what we did is we said, here's all the comments we received. Here's what we're doing about them. If we're not doing about them, here's why we're not, here's why we don't think it'll work or why it's not included in the plan. And that we go through the comments that way.
Right. And right now, that drop dead deadline for any comment from any board members, from anybody to be analyzed and to be in that packet is tonight. Is that correct? While we're waiting, I just want to mention, this afternoon I was asked by a council member, hey, can you check out my newsletter text? And they were like, when do my people need to get their feedback in, right? And so they were just getting a newsletter out today. And I said, it is today that is the deadline. I think I'm hoping we will have an opportunity to continue to receive comment. I would suggest that we look at something like July 12th or something like a month from now. But I would just appreciate what staff's thoughts are at this time.
The latest we can take it right now is Friday, June 7th, so this Friday. And we haven't made anything formal at this point.
Thank you. And that assumes the board's August 7th meeting is a meeting that is where we are having the packet to call for the public hearing and all of those pieces.
Correct. There's a pretty good lead time before that board meeting. And so what we need to be able to do is once we close the comment period, we need to gather, analyze, and provide responses to all of the comments that we've received. We also need to retool the plan and connect the retooling of the plan to the comments and the analysis that we've received, and then get that all prepped, ready to go, reviewed for the packet for the call for the public hearing.
Thank you. And I understand those processes. If it were to slip a month or so, we could still have public hearings before the end of the year. Is that right?
That would make the March 2025 date infeasible.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I add one comment? Also wanted to let you know that staff went to every single city council meeting in the month of May to let them know about the comment period. So they've had ample time. Also, we have a technical advisory committee led by our planning team. And so we met with all of the cities, counties, regional bodies who participate in this plan. And so they've been aware since about May 3rd, I believe it is, since May 3rd. So they've had more than a month to, and we've been communicating with them all along since last spring.
Yes, undoubtedly. I just know, within that tight period, May 15th to June 5th, there's no way possible we can reach everybody. And I've been hearing, this morning I heard from a member of the Disability Commission on this, right? They requested it. Staff were very responsive, but it wasn't possible to schedule until after today, right? That presentation. So that's my concern when we have very short outreach periods for such a issue of this magnitude, right? So I wanted to also just ask about, let's see. So we heard a lot about securing additional operating revenues to supplement current funding, concerns about cost neutral, right? And my concern about cost neutral is what we're seeing here is we're ending up taking away some service in some communities to add to others. And, we're fighting over crumbs, right? With that cost neutral approach. So what would it take to change that approach? And what are the challenges?
It would take additional resources. So I cannot create a plan for implementation that requires more operators than we have. So we've tried to do, we kind of did that in the past, I think about 8 years ago. And what ended up happening was a significant disruption in our service and service availability for our customers. What we want to do is make sure that the plan that we have is based on the realistic number of operators that we actually have available. So we deliver on the promises that we make and that you approve as part of the plan. So we can have a plan that doesn't have trade-offs, that includes more of everything, but it won't be implementable.
Thank you. And, I do think that there is a path where we can do both, where we have phases for this plan, where we have, it's how other agencies like TriMet and Portland have operated. And it's, it gives us a plan that really our elected leaders and the public can get behind and fight for. I know we are working on our service standards and continuing to develop the visionary network. But I think it's really important that it be linked to realign, right? That we have realign phases and we don't settle for the status quo with realign. So we need to be able to have a schedule that makes sure our operators are healthy and also ensure that we're not cutting service, and especially in our equity focused communities. And so in terms of current operators, we've got about 1,200 bus operators today. Is that right?
I didn't see the number on Monday. It's usually in the mid 1180s. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so in the current realign plan, does it assume that we will continue to hire up to our fully budgeted number of 1308? Do we have a piece of realign pointing at that? What's the assumption?
So the slides that were in there about like kind of the bridge to 100%, that is what staff proposes to prioritize beyond realign implementation. So realign implementation is cost neutral. But what are the things that we should prioritize? So we talk about improving schedule reliability, improving break time, and then also improving frequency on the lines that serve the most people and in equity priority communities. So those are kind of where the priorities would be in that bridge from where we are today to where that full 2019 number is.
Okay, but that's not in this service plan.
Correct.
Okay. So what I would like to see is for us to commit to continue hiring up to the 1308 budgeted positions and to have a service plan that reflects that. So we are prepared for when operators come off leave, if additional operators are hired, that we have a service expansion plan that significantly improves frequency. I also think it's really important that we not burden our zero vehicle households with less access to 15-minute frequent service. And so just wanted to ask staff if you could pull up one of the metrics we talked about in January was about access. So access to grocery stores, right? Access to hospitals. And that was set forth as a really key metric for understanding how this plan is operating. I understand it wasn't included in tonight's presentation for time, but if you could pull that up, that'd be helpful. And just give us the highlights, one or two sentences, what is happening here in terms of our equity focused communities.
Yeah, absolutely. So the yellow is service to our equity priority communities, and the gray is service to our communities that are not defined as equity priority communities. So the plan that was presented today, essentially what you see is this trade-off kind of made a little bit clear. So the job access in the weekday morning peak, weekday midday, and weekday daytime was reduced in places that are not equity priority communities, and it was increased in places that are equity priority communities. So the yellow line going up says equity priority communities got more service and better job access, and the gray line going down said that service was slightly, in most cases by less than 1%, to reduce to places that are non-equity priority communities.
Thank you. And can you show the hospital and grocery store access too?
So this is a little more complicated because we're doing two things at once. So we're doing within each of these three columns, there are two different things. So there's grocery stores, then hospitals. So the results here are a little bit more mixed, but in general, we see that service to non-equity priority communities, the gray is pretty much always going down. And the yellow, with a couple exceptions, is either neutral or has a slight improvement.
Thank you. So will we actually see the ridership by segment and by stop, and will that be shared publicly as well for the 2022 data that we're using to do this analysis on? It's something I was struggling with just when I'm preparing my comments, is to really understand how are some segments performing? I mean, before I make a recommendation, it'd be really helpful.
Yeah, that's information we have available. And I can look and see if it's already on the website. If it's not, we can make sure that it's made available. I thought we already had it for the existing conditions. So in a previous phase of this plan, I thought we provided all that, but I can double check.
Okay, thank you. Right. I went back and looked for it and couldn't find it, but it would be, some of the things that I see on the map that don't make a lot of sense. I can't really determine that without actually looking at the data. So I also wanted to just acknowledge, we did hear, some allegations tonight that were really troubling. And as a board member, I just want to encourage prompt investigation of all complaints about overt racism in the workplace and concerns about racial disparities in working conditions. One of the reasons I ran for office was I read a book called Hard Work Is Not Enough. It's written by a social change scholar. And, it's about racial and gender inequality at AC Transit. So it's a very powerful book. And I'm thankful for all of the Black women bus operators who were interviewed, who participated, in that research. It's a PhD dissertation. And, I just want to acknowledge the comments we heard tonight and encourage these to be investigated. I'm confident they will be. So I'd like to make a motion. I think we have heard a lot of support, including from the mayor of Oakland regarding the coalition letter that we received regarding frequency, equity, and reliability. I think it's important that the board actually adopt some direction to staff related to these principles tonight to provide clarity to staff as we move forward with this work. And so I would also like to, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to direct staff to prepare a summary of all public comments received to date and publish that, to extend the public comment period on the realigned draft plan until July 12th, 2024, to allow time for this work with ATU, to allow time for additional people to weigh in. And then to implement the principles of frequency, equity, and reliability in realign and service planning by, number one, continuing to hire operators up to the budgeted number of 1,308 operator positions, and adding additional operators, adding scheduled service as additional operators come online. Continue to develop the visionary network, a service expansion plan based on service standards that significantly improve frequency. Those are the two pieces for frequency. For equity, direct staff to ensure the new service plan does not burden zero vehicle households with less access to 15-minute frequent service. If there is any decrease in access to 15-minute frequent service, it should not decrease more for zero vehicle households compared to overall households. And thank you. And the visionary network should significantly improve access to frequent service for equity priority communities, Black, Brown, low-income, seniors, and people with disabilities, and should include additional equity measures. So
I'll second that motion. But I'm curious, because it is so much, is it more than one, or should it be broken down into?
Potentially, yeah. So the motion is really pretty much, we have all received in writing a letter from a coalition of labor and transit advocates. And so I think we all have it in writing and can look at it. That's where I'm taking this language from, with the exception of the adding additional month. So that might be something we want to separate from this. I'm open to that feedback. So the last piece of it is on reliability, and there's two components to that, and it's in partnership with ATU.
192, AC Transit should develop a standard and a threshold in a board policy to identify on an ongoing basis when routes need additional run and recovery time. So the real key part of that is in partnership with ATU Local 192. So there should be a quarterly reporting to the board and public on how routes are performing against this threshold. And staff should regularly propose adjustments to meet the standard, including additional runtime, transit priority treatments, and operational changes, better incident management, addressing bunching. So that's for reliability. The other piece of it is in the initial implementation of Realign or in earlier quarterly changes, additional run and recovery time should be added to the routes identified in the December 2023 Realign presentation. So that is the motion.
No, I second it. I just, it just seemed like it, you know, is so lengthy and I guess the question is that clear, you know, District Secretary?
Has everybody seen the letter I'm referring to? I'm reading exactly from the letter, so I'm happy to clarify any points, but we could put it up on the projection.
Real quickly.
If the district secretary could do that.
I don't
mean,
have it.
We're getting late in the evening. There's a motion and a second on the floor.
Did the general manager have a question?
Why don't we call the roll and we'll see where
Let's
this,
talk about it before we call the roll. Let's try to find a consensus. I know you want to leave, but this is an important meeting.
that's the longest motion I've ever seen in my life. I have
it's
no idea what's in there. I'd have to like see it written out and really think about it.
Well,
So
I'd
if
like
you
to
guys
weigh
wanna-
in on what she said and maybe we can find
you
it.
guys want to approve that, I'm giving you the opportunity to
Yes.
by calling a vote.
All right.
Well, I would like to say, I don't think we need more time for outreach. I'm sorry, but we've done a ton of outreach. We've gotten hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments. And, you know, I mean, I think I feel like a lot of people have weighed in. We've
So,
got,
Yeah,
Pardon?
so Director Walsh, if you don't mind, and I think that because that's what I meant by it is pretty lengthy and there has been significant outreach. I think the part though that I am supporting is the outreach to ATU, right? That's the specific, like, we don't need to necessarily open it up anymore to the public because I think staff did a good job of that. The issue right now today is meeting with the union to make sure that we hear from them, right? So
And I'd also like to see us very narrowly focused on resolving the issues with ATU 192 so we can come together and get this thing passed. And so by adding a really long motion, focusing on things that I can't recall what's in there, does
should-
that
should we
distract?
prefer for her to just break it up then? Like, can we just?
I mean, I don't know if we need a motion to
The reason
accomplish.
we're here today is because there's a big disconnect on what it actually means to actually deliver a more frequent, equitable, and reliable service. So the specificity is important so we can actually move beyond that disconnect and provide staff with clarity. So this is.
Well, you're not providing clarity is all I'm
let's try to
gonna
get
say.
there. Let's try to get there. We can all work together to get a clear motion. I will say that
For this though.
We could do some straw poll. Well, this is not the way the plan's headed now. So if we want it to go in a different direction and not just do the status quo, we do need a motion.
So maybe a friendly sort of amendment, I guess, to that motion could be because it sounds like Director Walsh is in agreement that, you know, staff has done significant outreach to the public and my concern is more about staff reaching out now to ATU to listen to them. So would you, and then everything else you can keep, you know, would you?
Right. I think the reason I suggested to extend the public comment period is because even to incorporate the work that staff are going to be doing with ATU, more time is needed. We heard from staff, this
Right.
Friday is the final deadline. Do we think they're going to fix everything tomorrow? No, tomorrow is just the beginning. I've also spoken up that I don't even have data. We're being encouraged not to provide our specific feedback tonight, to rush in this meeting. You know, I've been getting a lot of feedback from my constituents that I want to review, I want to have a chance to look at it and look at the data and then finalize my own comments on this plan. So
Do we get to
so
make
that's my
comments or-
suggestion is that
before we waste staff's time working over 4th of July, working really hard to keep that August schedule and freezing everything this Friday, that we think about that human factor, right? Of how long is it going to take for this work that we are committed to doing to happen? So that's the concern. I would be, that's why I don't think it's logical to separate ATU, but I'm happy to do it as 2 motions if that makes folks more comfortable. So.
I've got my hand up.
Okay, it sounds like we do have some additional comments. I know.
Yeah, so my hand's up.
Oh. Why don't we go to Chris so that we can go back down the aisle again?
Well, my
Yeah.
Director Peoples, go for it.
Thank you. I agree with a lot of the stuff in the letter, but I certainly don't want to turn it into a motion because many of those things are conflicting. If you want more reliability, you cannot get more frequency unless somehow you can write a couple of $100 million check. So we were buoyed for a while with the federal money. Maybe in 26, we're going to get some regional money, but that regional money, even if we pass 1031, is a quarter of what is needed. BART is going to get 60% of it. Muni's going to get another 20 or 30, and we're going to be left with the dregs. So don't think we can improve reliability and improve frequency. You got a commitment from the general manager to communicate very actively with ATU. He had previously communicated with the prior administration, which had some issues. There's a new administration there. I trust the general manager and his staff to do the outreach to ATU. I don't think we're going to get this done in April, in time for an April sign up, but I'm willing to let staff work on it until they figure out that this isn't going to get done till next August. That's fine. But having a 12 or 13 part resolution, the most important aspect of which the general manager is already committed to do, seems to me a waste of time.
Okay, Director Beckles, you have additional comments.
I actually had a question earlier before the motion was made, and I just wanted to get that answered before we
Go
move
for
on. So yeah, the slides didn't seem to include any equity metrics. And so is this proposal more, would you say that this proposal is more equitable than the existing services, and how are you measuring it?
So in particular, and let me, on slide 17, we talked about access to the frequent network. So we specifically mentioned that the 48,000 people of color and 38,000 people who live in households with under 200% of the poverty level will have access to 15-minute or better service now under this new plan.
And so you're saying that so the new plan is more equitable than
current service or than the January 2024 plan.
Okay. And then lastly, regarding the motion, I think I heard Director Said said that she'd be amicable to splitting it up so it'll be clear. But sometimes, I do trust the general manager will follow up with it. And I think that having it as a official directive to me, it's not out of pocket, I think, for it to be an emotion.
Okay, Director Walsh.
The chair just wanted to respond to a concern Chris raised regarding.
One second,
Iron Sky.
she hasn't had an opportunity to say anything yet.
Okay,
She-
please,
she
go
has
ahead.
some Comments.
Go ahead.
No, Director Walsh, go for it, and then we're going to go to Director Shaw.
Let's go to Director Shaw. I haven't heard anything that she has to say yet.
Okay, Director Shaw, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And I'm not going to say a lot because I think a lot has already been said. I thank everybody for coming out. I really appreciate everyone's participation. Not only our local partners with ATU, but also with our partner cities. I think staff has done an amazing job of outreach in the community. I've been to several of the workshops. I've seen our operators participate. I've seen more comments from city officials than I've ever seen in my years here. So I think I'm really happy to see the input that they've provided, and most of them, a lot of them have been able to do it in the time frame that we asked. I will remind everybody that in January, staff did come back to us with a plan that had the increase, because that's one of the things that prompted me to start this initiative, I think, a long time ago, 2020, I think, November 2020, was to start getting the operator one time. And because of the amount of service cut that was going to be needed, we said, take a step back. As a board, we agreed to that. We were not it wasn't overwhelming, but that's the majority voted to do that. So we moved forward. So I think staff has done a great job of trying to blend those two things, looking at both where can we increase the run times, where are we hurting the most, where the driver's hurting the most. They came up with 15 lines that they plan to relook at to try to do that. I know the data just seems like data to people, but that data has a lot of information in there. They can tell where stops they're stopping at. They can tell how long they're at every stop. They can tell how long they're at lights. There's a lot of data there that they look at. It's not just a numbers game. There's a lot of stuff that's in there that they look at to do this. And I trust that they're getting data overwhelmed in some cases, to be honest. There's the other thing is that, we talked about this plan. We need to move forward. What we have now isn't working. And the general manager has agreed to talk more to ATU, which I think is great, because I've been there when we've had cease and desist letters when we tried to talk to the operator. So I'm really happy to hear that they're now interested in moving forward with that, because I think it's very important. And I think we've heard from the general manager that he wants to do that and is planning to do that. And I believe that he will. But we need to kind of balance this between our riders and our drivers both. And we can't do it all at one time. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough operators. So we need to start somewhere and continue to improve. And I think Michael talked about how we would do that going forward. They talked about the things that we would prioritize going forward. We also talked about the things that we all need to do as a board, which is working with our city officials to look at things like bus priority lanes and the things that are out of our control. Right now, all we can do move forward with is the things that are in our control. That's not to say that the staff is not committed to continuing to work on all of these things. We need to do it, but some of these big projects are going to take a long time. And if we needed to wait till everything was perfect, we will never change anything and nobody will be happy. Our drivers won't be happy, our customers won't be happy, our board won't be happy. And so we have to figure out a way to move forward in steps. I totally agree that it's in steps and we start. And I think the long-term plan that they talk about developing and looking at will be able to identify what are the key things that we'll look at moving forward. Even in some of the city letters, we talk about new housing that's coming out that they want us to support in the 2029 and 2030. I hope we can implement something before then, and that by 2029, 2030, we can be more nimble to continue to grow as we get more operators. They're doing a great job of increasing the number of operators we are doing every month. We're looking at retention and what we can do to address the needs. Bathrooms, there's been a lot of changes in bathrooms over the last 3 years, thanks to General Manager Hirsch. And it needs to continue. It'll never be done because it needs to continue. But we've been making a lot of progress, and it's not just about the money. It's about these other things that I think staff is committed to doing. And I just want to say that I think we need to trust that they can do it, move forward, let them do what they say they're going to do, which is meet with ATU and 192 and try to look at what they can do, what the plan would look like, and move forward in increments. Thank you.
Go for it.
So one of the items that was in the motion was really honing in on the metric that we're using. So someone mentioned that one of the data points is right before us. All of these operators out here telling us their experience, that's an actual data point. But how are we gonna know when we've succeeded or if we haven't succeeded yet? And so I know we've talked about on-time performance. That's a metric that we use. We talked about that, what time you get to the end of the line. I've heard from operators that there's some flaws in how we measure that, and that, maybe the clock starts ticking when they reach a certain point, but the people aren't off the bus yet and they still have to drive around and park the bus, and that's counting as break time, but when they're not really getting it. So I'm just wondering, how do we have a metric to know whether we've achieved this or not? And what is it? Is it on-time performance, or is it some combination of both? Or
If I could respond to that, Michael Hirsch, General Manager, we have a ton of metrics, but I want to be candid that what the previous administration wanted did not reflect what we're hearing tonight, and really take into account the entire membership, in particular, some of the younger or newer employees. I would like to report back on what that metric is after having further discussions with ATU, because we can tell you what we think it is, but I want to hear from ATU what the metric is that will make them happy.
Okay, thank you.
And I did forget to thank staff. I know that you Chris mentioned taking whiplash, and I don't want to put you all through whiplash, because we can't sit up here as a board and say, we want this. Oh, no, we changed our mind. We want that. Oh, actually, no, we want this again. We have to move forward. And I agree with you that we're never going to please everyone. And I am a strong believer in moving forward, keeping on reporting back progress. That's another thing that was in the motion. If we could learn how we're doing every quarter, we don't want to wait till the next realign process to find out, how we're doing. We need to keep learning and improving as we go. And I don't think we can solve every problem in this one process. And so I think that if we can keep getting reports on how we're doing, how we're moving better towards that target, that will be a good thing. And if we have a target to move towards, so we do need that metric. We do need to hear from operators on how we should be measuring that. We do need continuous reports on how we're doing. And I agree with you. I don't want to be going back and forth. We've spent millions of dollars on this, and we want to, and we need to start somewhere. And so I'm in favor of moving forward and keeping the foot on the gas pedal, to use a horrible analogy.
Okay,
I've been trying to raise my hand, but my Zoom doesn't work. So just wanted to say, I don't think that we are as far apart as board members as our comments make it appear. I think I agree with Director Shaw. We can't do it all at one time. And that's why I'm calling for a phased approach and moving forward in steps. When the steps and a phased approach are not in the realign plan that we as a board adopt, how can we ask our workers and our riders to trust us that we are going to continue to move forward in steps? So that is, just I think the difference that we have is around how are we moving forward in steps. This realign process has been, about a little more than a year to date. And we rarely have the budget or the time to do a service plan of this magnitude. And so that's why I think we should be moving forward in steps in this planning process. We've heard from Director Peoples regarding inconsistencies in the motion. Well, the frequency part is conditional on new hires. So that would be a phased approach. That would be a next step. That would be taking what staff have recommended of a bridge to 100% and pulling that in and saying, yes, we agree. Let's put that to paper. Let's have that be part of our realign plan. Not a promise we're making that this board is not going to vote on. Right? For me, that's my concern. So I will, when we make our working conditions better, I'm confident we will be able to hire up to our budgeted number. But I'm not calling for us to, make all of these things happen at once, to make, reliability happen and frequency and do it all in a plan. That would be an impossible ask of our staff to do that all at the first go round, right? But it's a plan for how to move forward. That's what I'm asking us to endorse, to direct staff. And it's not 12 or 13 parts. I'm happy to cut out the pieces that were suggested around the schedule. But I do think it's really important that we honor what we heard tonight and that the board actually say, we want you to implement reliability in partnership with ATU Local 192. Here's our expectation. We want the district to develop a standard and a threshold in a board policy to identify on an ongoing basis when routes need additional run and recovery time. I think that's really important. That's one part. The second part.
Wait, is this your motion?
I'm just clarifying the motion. I'm responding to it. Yes. So
Okay,
I'm
so,
amending the motion. So I'm amending the motion just to be really
one
clear.
second,
except for
please.
the amendment.
Okay. Let's get it together. The only motion I'm prepared to support tonight is to work with ATU Local 192. So if you three, counting Chris, want to come up with something else, or you four with Chris, it sounds like she's off the table. So if you three and Chris can come up with something to support that's other than the motion to work with ATU Local 192, go for it. But let's hurry it up because I know a lot of people have a lot of things to do. So
Yes.
well, it sounds like she's amending her motion.
Yes.
And so in light of that,
Responded to my second feedback, right? So-
yeah. Or clarifying it.
Right.
So do people want to vote on her entire original motion? It's been moved, it's been seconded. Let's call a roll.
I made the, I took out the
Okay.
piece. I heard from Director Walsh regarding the public feedback. I took out those pieces. So my motion is identical to the coalition letter regarding the principles of equity, frequency, and reliability. And it is directing staff to implement those principles in realign and in service planning. So
Okay, that's her motion. Is there a second?
You're doing it in two parts?
no, it's the one part, it's the coalition ask regarding frequency, equity, and reliability, implementing.
Right, to make the union.
No, the specific ask of the reliability one I mentioned in
Okay.
partnership with ATU Local developing.
I'm
the
tired.
new-
I'm so confused now, because I did- I guess, because you're clarifying it, because you amended it to make it clearer, right? And
I
yeah.
took out the pieces of it
Okay.
that were extending the comment period by 1 month. That is the only
Okay.
Okay.
piece that I
Okay,
took out.
she's amended her
That is the
motion.
only
All right,
piece I
so
took out.
second, let's.
Okay, let's call a roll.
do it.
Okay, Director Syed,
Yes.
Director Beckles?
Yes.
Director Walsh?
No.
Okay. Director Peoples,
No.
Vice President Shaw?
No.
Okay, and President Young?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
motion fails.
Okay,
I
so
don't-
can I make a motion then?
Well, the general
okay.
manager's already said he's going to do it, but if you want to make a motion.
Yeah, let's just
Go
put
for
let's
it.
make it official.
Go
right?
for it.
So
Do it.
My motion is to have the general manager, who said he will, to meet with ATU workers to hear their concerns and to adjust the schedules that will help them to perform their jobs effectively and healthily. That's a word.
I will second that. Let's take a roll on that.
Well, excuse me, just a point of a question before we go. So we have been talking about what would be a way to report back to the board on what's developed. And we had a suggestion from the coalition letter that work that you just described would also include actually coming up with a standard and a threshold, right? In a board policy to identify on an ongoing basis when routes need additional run and recovery time in partnership with ATU Local. Are you comfortable including that in that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
think
because
that's just what-
it's all,
what just
it's
got voted down.
connected, right? It's connected with regard to
It's just
the
about.
worker's ability to do their job. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, now the motion has
So
been
call for it?
revised, so it's been first. It
Seconded.
sounds like it's second
Yeah.
right here. Why don't we take a roll on the revised motion?
Can we repeat the motion that we're voting on?
It sounds like it's the same motion we just voted on.
No, no,
No,
no.
it's not. We
It's
took
not.
out the frequency
so-
and the equity.
So Ms. Nemaroff, would you please repeat my motion?
I don't have your motion.
Oh, you
This
do
is
not?
very- This
Your
is very
motion is to work
chaotic.
with ATU Local 192.
Right,
She's adding to it.
okay,
Just regarding what that work looks like.
Okay.
That was it.
okay.
Regarding what the work looks like.
Jean, could we allow this motion to have a vote? And then if, depending on that outcome, we can come back.
I don't think,
Please
I
take-
don't think the district secretary doesn't have a copy of the motion, so I think
Okay,
we do need Director
So,
Beckles.
so here we go. So let's not complicate it. It's, so that folks can feel comfortable. So my motion is just for now, and then, Director Said, perhaps you can, let's just split it up, just in terms of, here's.
You want your motion heard individually,
Right.
Director Beckles, real quickly.
So I'm wondering if we can bring this back, just so people are tired. So for now,
It's not gonna fix this.
Director
But
Director Beckles, it sounds like you want your motion to be heard individually.
standard threshold and bold policy identify ongoing basis when routes need additional run and then recovery time. I see. So you know what? That really isn't, it's not, it's clear. So the language is that general manager will meet with the union to hear their concerns and around these round times so that we can fix their schedule. And the second part is, again, this is all a partnership with ATU, developing a standard and threshold in a board policy. So this is going to, there's no deadline. So that's out there. Standard and threshold in a board policy to identify on an ongoing basis when routes need additional run and recovery time. So that's, again, it's still hearing from the worker.
So you're fine with that motion?
Yes.
There's a second right here.
Can I ask a question of the team? Is that a reasonable thing to do, to come up with this standard? It's something, I mean, I'm sure bus operators all across the country must have some way of doing this, right?
We certainly can come up with that. I don't know if we can come up with it in conjunction with the work we're trying to do on Realign.
Okay, it's been asked and answered. Well, it seems it has to pass first. Why don't we take a vote?
It looks like Robert needed to.
So Robert Darrell-Zaria, Director of Service Development and Planning. As part of the Realign process, there is also an update of service standards, and it would include information like that.
Great,
well, I-
perfect.
I
All
guess-
right, so we have a motion and a second.
It's scoped for more public facing metrics though. So right now it's scoped for on-time performance.
Yes,
It's the
but
standard,
this-
I'm not aware, it's not scoped for a new metric that would be runtime,
No, but in this meeting, this is the conversation that will happen. They, hearing about, first of all, there's, the schedules and the runtime, recovery time. So all that is a conversation that's going to be had. And so it doesn't, it seems like it's perfectly, in conjunction with the whole meeting.
You're working from back to self at a later time.
Yeah,
So point of clarification,
Yeah.
this is on for receipt and providing
Right.
feedback to staff. So you can do that without a motion.
And we can do it with a
Direction
motion
needs
as
a
well.
vote. Direction
It
needs a
does need a
vote.
vote.
So there's a motion, there's a second. Director Walsh, can we just allow this vote to happen?
Okay,
District Secretary, please call the roll.
okay. On Director Beckles' motion, Director Beckles?
Yes.
Director Syed?
Yes.
Director Walsh?
I'm sorry, I'm going to vote no.
Director Peoples?
Yes.
Okay, Vice President Shaw
No.
and President Young.
No.
That's tie vote.
Okay, so I'll make another motion. That's why. All right, so let's, because I mean, I feel like it
Make your motion.
goes together. The motion is directing the general manager to meet with ATU 192 to hear their concerns in order to fix their schedules.
Okay, I'll second that. Can we take a vote?
Okay. Director Beckles,
Yes.
President Young,
Yes.
Director Walsh.
Yes.
Okay, Director Syed.
The other motions failed, y'all. This is that he's gonna talk to you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Director Peoples.
This is nothing. This is
Yes.
no action. I'm really.
Okay, and Vice President Shaw.
Yes.
I did.
Vice President Shaw, your
Hold
vote.
hold on. So folks, so through the chair,
I,
it is saying that we are asking for him to hear your concerns. You heard, he heard them. And the motion, the direction is for. Okay, so if we could calm down, people. He said he was gonna do it, but this was a direction that had been, we've already made this direction and it didn't happen, is what I'm saying. So now we're going to make it official, okay? Does that
Okay.
make sense? This is now official.
I need a
It
vote.
was official before, but now we're doing it again. That this is something that's gonna happen and, okay?
And
Okay.
Vice President Shaw, can you confirm your vote, please? Thank you. Motion. passes.
Okay. Thank you, staff, for all of the work that you've done on this.
I don't understand.
Why don't we move on to closed session report out, item 6? Is there anything?
Nothing.
Fantastic. Why don't we move on to board staff comments? Hearing no comments from staff. Why don't we go to comments from the board? Director Shaw?
So I do have two comments. One is I did it, and I don't know if anybody's left here, but I did attend the maintenance ceremony. So we had some respect for you to listen to you. So please let us continue with our meeting. Thank you. So I wanted to say thank you to staff for having that appreciation. It was really good to be there and to talk to them and to see what they're doing. We had our Hayward ILC meeting last week, and they've done a lot of work on bus stops. And I really appreciate what the city has done and taken up and what they've done, because they provided us with some funding as well as us. Our staff has done an amazing job with analyzing bus stops, and we've already, they plan to complete all the bus stops in Hayward by July, and they've already installed 12 of those semi seats in Hayward at their most popular bus stops. So they've done a really good job of updating the work order system and looking at all of that. So really, really, really positive, and Hayward City Council was very happy with that. So thank you.
Director Syed?
No comment.
Director Peoples?
It's late. Good night.
Okay, I have actually 15 minutes of comments. Actually, I just want to thank Robert. I want to thank you. Diane, I want to thank you. And I don't see where Michael went, but he had an incredibly frustrated look on his face. I want to thank him for all the work that he's done on this. You guys have put in a lot of work. This board has gone back and forth on what we want, telling you one thing, telling you another. We heard that loud and clear tonight. Hopefully on the 25th of August or whenever we're going to hear this thing, we can get something passed and move on. With that, unless you guys want to hear anything more, this meeting is adjourned.